Chapter 814. Why do I feel so lucky today? Lu Xian and Wei Zhixiang both felt that Jiang Hao was an idiot because he ignored their warning. Everyone was going to die here for no reason. They were just waiting for death. This was an impossible fight. If Jiang Hao had listened, he could have escaped with the others. However, he insisted on ignoring them and acted restlessly. Jiang Hao entered the range of the tree's power. They knew he would be trapped here like them, but his footsteps were powerful. They could feel the surrounding aura moving toward Jiang Hao, as if they were trying to bind him. However, the demonic sound reverberated. It was the demonic sound/ability. While the two were still in shock, Jiang Hao walked over to them quickly. He was entirely unaffected by the tree's power. The roots and branches rushed toward him. Boom! The demonic sound/rang again. The tree branch that bound Wei Zhixiang and Lu Xian exploded. They were still in a daze as Jiang Hao rushed to their side. He placed the half-moon blade on the ground. Jiang Hao helped them break free and pushed them out of the forest. Li Min, who stood outside, pulled them out. That was what Jiang Hao had meant. When she remembered his words from before, Jiang Hao was already back by her side. He rushed forward. The others followed behind. Haiyan was a little surprised. He didn't understand what had happened. In the blink of an eye, the other two had been rescued. His plan had failed. It was the end for him if they got suspicious of him. However, he did not dare to hesitate and immediately followed them. The tree branches were still chasing them. A while later, Jiang Hao and the others ran out of the forest. But the branches wouldn't leave them alone. No one dared to stop. They ran from the tree branches. Jiang Hao attacked. As expected, the branches retreated without much effort. He understood that once the branches were too far away from the source of power, they retreated if they were attacked. The same thing happened when he saved the woman in a blue dress. Jiang Hao looked around and found that they had ended up in an open area. He wasn't sure exactly where they were. He could only remember the place as the one they discovered in their exploration. The others looked at Jiang Hao in surprise. Wei Zhixiang was stunned. He hadn't expected Jiang Hao to be able to save them so easily. However, Jiang Hao's power saved them. He had jumped into the forest to save them while they had been complaining and shouting at him all this while. "Thank you, junior brother Jiang." He bowed in gratitude. "Thank you for saving my life. I didn't mean to offend you before," Lu Xian said apologetically. They now knew who was stronger among them. Lu Xian lowered her head and admitted her mistake. Jiang Hao shook his head and didn't say anything. He always saved people if he could. If not, there was nothing else he could do. After resting for a while, Wei Zhixiang looked at Haiyan. "I saw that you were in danger, so I rushed to find senior brother Jiang," said Haiyan hurriedly. Wei Zhixiang didn't say anything and just nodded. Jiang Hao didn't pay any attention to them. He looked around. The nameless manual and the heaven lock technique overlapped. It allowed him to sense things that most people couldn't. There was a strange power gathering here. The power was concentrated in two places. One was near the tree, and the other was behind it. Jiang Hao turned around and saw a wall. "They'll start mining here. You guys can explore around." This time, no one raised any objections. Jiang Hao was firmly accepted as the leader, and no one dared to question him. "This is not an ordinary place. Please don't put yourself in danger for something small," said Jiang Hao. Oftentimes, desire ended in doom. It was better for everyone to learn to control their desires. If it was a simple thing, they could make a move. But if it was something unknown, it would probably be very dangerous. Many people could not resist the temptation. Wei Zhixiang lowered his head in shame. He had been too greedy before. If it wasn't for Jiang Hao, he would have been dead already. The other team members had to rush in to save him. That wasn't good. Jiang Hao stood in front of the wall and tried to perceive any changes. After a while, he struck out with his palm. Only when his palm struck hard rocks, he began to dig. The pickaxe might not be able to withstand this wall. He had to buy one after he left. He could find a blacksmith to forge one too. Somewhere in the west, Bai Zhu walked ahead and looked up at the mountain range in front of her with a sigh. "Princess, are you unhappy?" Xiao Yi asked. "We traveled so quickly and were lucky enough to reach the west. I paid a huge price along the way, and I also used up a lot of good luck. In the end, instead of a peaceful and quiet life, I feel like I am jumping into a fire pit, Bai Zhu said and sighed. Aunt Xiao, do you understand how I feel? Xiao shook her head. She did not understand what the princess was worried about. However, it was a little surprising that they had actually arrived at the western border in such a short time. Well, reached the Astronomical Academy in a few months. I wonder what's the situation there now, Bai Zhu said. Princess, what are you going to do once you reach there? Xiao Yi asked. Inform them. Inform them about what? It's something that would secure our safety. You'll know when the time comes. Bai Zhu frowned. There's another teleportation array ahead. It's strange. I feel like I've been so lucky these past few days. Isn't that a good thing? Xiao Yi asked. It is, but I have a bad feeling about this, said Bai Zhu helplessly. It might be a ways to ignore such a shortcut. They examined to make sure nothing was wrong with the array. Then, the two stepped into the array. When they reappeared, they were in the western region. They had crossed the last mountain range in one fell swoop. Bai Zhu felt strange. When she walked into the city, she saw that some people were playing pitch pot. Aunt Xiao, let's go play too. Bai Zhu pulled Xiao Yi along with her. Then, she casually threw an arrow. With a clang, it landed in the pot. I truly feel lucky today. Bai Zhu smiled and continued to play. She shot arrow after arrow and didn't miss a single one. A total of 10 arrows went into the pot in the first attempt. Bai Zhu's face changed. The excitement and happiness turned into doubt. She was worried. This was not normal. It was too bizarre. How could she be this lucky with 1,000 cursed body? Chapter 8:15. The Hidden Remnant Soul. Princess, you don't feel happy? Xiao, he looked at Bai Zhu, who was looking at the prize and frowning. And Xiao, I don't know. I feel like my luck just keeps getting better today, said Bai Zhu. Isn't that a good thing? Xiao, he was puzzled. It's not. This sudden stroke of luck reminds me of something, said Bai Zhu and looked at Xiao Yi. There's something called dying flash. Xiao, he felt that Bai Zhu was just overthinking. I'm serious, Bai Zhu said. Aren't you the #1 genius of the royal family? How can there be a problem when you are still only 300 years old? Xiao Yi asked. I just came of age, Bai Zhu said. She tried her luck again. It was indeed extraordinary. It's just, I shouldn't have such luck. It doesn't make sense. Princess, you've seen a sage become an immortal, and you're the first genius of the royal family. You're also one of the wealthiest people in the south, and you even helped with the awakening of the Grand Earth Emperor. Isn't it just natural for you to have such luck? Xiao Yi asked. Bai Zhu began to doubt herself. She thought for a moment. That's true. I also helped the one with the Heavenly Tao Foundation establishment to achieve that. I helped with sealing the Heavenly Fate Misfortune Pearl and the Earth Extreme Silent Pearl. It's only natural that I should be granted such luck. But no matter how she thought about it, she felt that something was not right. It was not normal for a person to be repeatedly lucky. No, I have to go into seclusion and check what's wrong with me, Bai Zhu said. On second thought, she still had to rush over to inform the Astronomical Academy. If she was late, it would mean death for all. Bai Zhu felt that it was all so difficult. She could have stayed in the south, but she had to rush to the west. In the end, she decided to go to the Astronomical Academy first. She would first solve the present issues. After that, she would focus on herself. Fortunately, they just needed to rush and didn't have other things to attend to. Jiang Hao felt the wall. He was unsure if there was a mine on the other side. If there was, he could use it to increase his cultivation points. If not, he had to be careful. The closer he got, the more he needed to pay attention to what might be on the other side. If it involved some strange powers, he would stop. This time, Jiang Hao was the only one left behind. The others went out to explore. As for the tree, no one dared to approach it again. 3 days later, Jiang Hao walked out of the mine and was about to reach the place from before. He needed to recover. The tree could be seen from where he was. A tree full of curses. Jiang Hao was worried. He wanted to get closer to appraise it. If possible, he wanted to try to wipe its trunk. If it was a divine tree, he might get something out of it. However, he wasn't in a hurry to go there. He had to see what was here first. If there was a mine, then there was no need to approach the cursed tree. Nothing was better than mining. It had taken 11 days for the heavenly fragrance Tao flower to produce blue bubbles. The cursed tree was not comparable to the heavenly fragrance Tao flower. The tree had already matured, but the heavenly fragrance Tao flower was still growing. After taking a break, Jiang Hao entered the mine again and began to swing his pickaxe. 3 days later, Jiang Hao stood in front of the wall. With a gentle push, he could see what was behind it from the cracks. He sensed that there was no special power nearby. Breaking through might not be risky. He took out the immortal mountain sea shield and the yin-yang bracelet. Jiang Hao used the half-moon blade to gently pick at the wall. He scraped the stones off bit by bit. A faint light escaped through the cracks. When the light dissipated, he saw a karst cave. There was a spring in the center of the cave, and a small piece of wood was rooted in the water. Jiang Hao was surprised. There was only a piece of wood in the center. After putting away the bracelet, he approached it. The wood looked a little strange. There was a life aura surrounding it. He appraised it. Longevity wood, a branch broken from the longevity tree. It has the power to nourish a soul. A remnant soul is hidden inside. It will gradually recover by borrowing the power of the mountain range. Jiang Hao was surprised. This was what Lu Xingxian was looking for. As expected, there were many opportunities in the mine. The longevity wood and the remnant souls inside were treasures for growth. This longevity wood could be considered a magic treasure. Perhaps he could try to wipe it. As for the remnant soul inside, Jiang Hao didn't plan to touch it yet. He decided to go to take a closer look. In the spring, Jiang Hao flew to the wood. The wood was about 2 meters tall and as thick as an arm. He touched it lightly. There was dust there. He took out his cloth and gently wiped it. As expected, a bubble fell. Spirit Sword +1. The first one was a green bubble. There might be a lot of gains later. As he wiped, bubbles fell one by one. Strength +1, Spirit +1, Cultivation +1, Lifeblood +1. The longevity wood was almost so tall. It didn't take long for Jian's how to finish wiping it. In the end, he obtained 11 blue bubbles. He would have had to struggle 3 or 4 months outside to get that many. He sighed and turned around to leave. He had only planned to come here mine. Who knew that he could find treasures to wipe clean? After packing his things, Jiang Hao walked out of the cave. Inside the longevity wood, the remnant soul was surprised. The person had left just like that. He didn't do anything. He had only approached to wipe the wood. It wondered whether the person knew that this was the longevity wood. It hesitated for a while and then decided to stop the person. It was rare to meet someone here. This person seemed extraordinary, especially because of the shield in his hand. Young man, please wait a moment. Jiang Hao had already reached the entrance of the karst cave. He pretended not to hear it and waved his hand to seal the entrance. He walked away. The remnant soul was speechless. He thought he had imagined it. He let out a sigh of relief as he walked out of the cave. The remnant soul had awakened, and it might be recovering by now. It was hard to say how strong it was, but he could definitely get into trouble if he got involved. Jiang Hao did not need more problems. Taking the wood away would only add to his trouble. He looked at the cursed tree from afar and decided to appraise it. He decided to wipe the tree clean. If it wasn't a divine tree, it wouldn't be in this state. He was very fast and arrived at the edge of the forest in no time. At that moment, he heard the waterfall. The black water was at the edge of the forest now, and some water had even flowed into it. The water was strange. It reminded him of the endless Black Sea. After making sure that there was no one around, Jiang Hao took out the Heaven Fate Misfortune Pearl and walked in. This time, everything in the forest seemed to be retreating as though it was afraid. All curses bowed in front of Heavenly Fate Misfortune Pearl. Meanwhile, Shangguan Qingsu, who had arrived in the south, suddenly felt something. The curse on her forehead began to flicker. She was frightened. Was the curse acting up this early? Chapter 8:16. I bought tea for you. Senior Shangguan Qingsu had been in the southern region for a long time, but there was still no news from smiling Sansheng. Not only did she fail to find him, but she also became the target of someone else. Feng Hua had been chasing after her relentlessly. She leaked the news of her presence in the south herself. The purpose was to make Feng Hua come looking for trouble. If she couldn't find her, then Feng Hua would cause trouble for the Shangguan family. The plan was to use Feng Hua to stop the Shangwan family. This way, she could take advantage of all the benefits. As for Feng Hua, she was indeed powerful, but if she remained hidden, it would be safe. There was another important reason. Feng Hua had a grudge against Smiling Sansheng. Now that she was looking for Smiling Sansheng, she would undoubtedly be willing to cooperate with her. In that case, it wouldn't be a life-and-death situation between them. After all, finding her would be like helping find Smiling Sansheng for both their benefits. If their interests aligned, there might be some minor problems, but they wouldn't have any major trouble between them. As for the other members of the Shangwan family, it was hard to say. After all, there had to be someone for them to vent their frustration on. Everything had been going smoothly until a sudden change had happened. It left her confused. After all, such a twist had never occurred before. At that moment, she felt the curse on her forehead spreading throughout her body. The pain began to emerge. She quickly sat down. This time, it seemed different from before. The pain came slowly. Jiang Hao walked to the cursed tree. He looked at the tree. It towered over everything. It made his scalp tingle. If it weren't for the heavenly fate misfortune pearl, he wouldn't have dared get this close. This showed the devastating effect of the heavenly fate misfortune pearl. However, he had never experienced it himself. He had seen what it could do, but had never understood how it affected everything, because he had never felt it himself. Perhaps those who experienced it didn't live long to tell the tale. He tried to wipe the trunk. Although there was dust on it, he didn't get any bubbles. It's not working. He appraised the tree. Longevity cursed tree. In ancient times, a person cursed themselves into the longevity tree in pursuit of eternal life. They intended to become immortal. When the curse spread across the land, they sealed themselves willingly into the tree. Once sealed, they left behind their shadow. The main body breathes once every 3 months and resonates with the shadows. It's the longevity tree, but it's cursed. Jiang Hao was amazed. Moreover, this tree was not the main body. It was just a residual shadow. If just a mere shadow was this formidable, it was unimaginable how terrifying the main body would be. Breathes once every 3 months and resonates with the shadow. This kind of thing needed to be avoided. He didn't want to get involved. This unlucky treasure was of no use to him. Just as he walked out of the forest, Jiang Hao met a woman in white. Jiang Hao recalled that she was the leader of the other team before, the one at the early stage of the primordial spirit realm. At that moment, she looked ice cold. She was injured in her left arm. "Greetings, senior," Jiang Hao said in greeting. She ignored him and quickly entered the forest. Jiang Hao felt puzzled. Soon, another person appeared. It was a leader of another team who was supposed to be at the peak of the Golden Core realm. However, he had revealed his real cultivation realm now. He was actually at the early stage of the primordial spirit realm. "Greetings, senior brother," Jiang Hao said. Just like the woman before, the man ignored him and headed into the forest. It seemed likely that he was going into the forest to kill the senior sister from it. It was evident that their conflict wasn't over. Jiang Hao couldn't help but sigh. After that, he quickly left. If the two of them came out of the forest, he might get into trouble. Although the sect might not intervene, being seen here wouldn't be good. He didn't want to invite trouble. Jiang Hao found that Li Min had returned when he went back to the mine. "I found a mineral vein," Li Min said as soon as she saw him. "Take me there," he said. Soon, they arrived in front of a slightly damp wall where there was a crude cave. "It's inside. I discovered it," Li Min said. Jiang Hao nodded. He entered it and found out that she was indeed right. Finally, they could start mining for real. However, Senior Brother Wei seems to have seen a demonic beast here. Although it passed by quickly, there's still some danger, Li Min said. Jiang Hao nodded. He had assumed that she would make a move against him, but she showed no signs of doing that yet. But he still needed to be careful. They had found a cursed tree, an ore vein, and the Black River. They had gained quite a lot from this trip. It was time to report to the sect. If they don't act now, they might miss the opportunity. Right timing was everything. At that moment, something approached from a distance. It headed toward Li Min, perfect timing. Jiang Hao didn't make a move. Soon, A stone-like demonic beast leaped out of the mine and crashed into Li Min at a thunderous speed. Bang! By the time Li Min saw it, it was too late. In an instant, the bones in her body shattered. She flew backward, and blood sprayed everywhere. She fainted. The demonic beast then turned toward Jiang Hao and charged at him. Bang! The moment it moved, Jiang Hao walked over. Immediately after, it disappeared into the ground and turned to ashes. It was dead. Jiang Hao stood by Li Min's side and set up the Mountain Sea seal. He also used the yin-yang bracelet and activated the heavenly cauldron. Only then did he take out the sealed bead with the charm body that he had extracted from the scholar's wife on one of his trips. Whether it succeeds or not depends on your luck. Jiang Hao activated the heaven lock technique and pressed the purple bead on Li Min's forehead. In an instant, the seal broke, and the essence of the charm body began to merge with Li Min. After a while, Jiang Hao stepped back. He deactivated the heaven lock technique. He felt exhausted. Using heaven lock took away too much of his energy. It didn't harm his cultivation realm, but drained his essence, spirit, and energy. Fortunately, he had many divine abilities that protected him. Otherwise, he would have been in danger. After that, he packed up his things and sat outside to rest. He would continue mining after recovering. "You can use the heaven lock technique?" asked a voice. Jiang Hao was leaning against the wall in exhaustion. He looked to his side and saw that Hong Yuye had arrived. "I'm just testing out," he said with difficulty. Hong Yuye sat down, and a tea table appeared. Before her, she gestured for Jiang Hao to brew some tea. He didn't protest. He brought out the September spring he had recently bought. He had bought 2 packs for 40,000 spirit stones. He still had 180,000 left. It was more than enough. Hong Yuye looked surprised. She looked at him carefully. "You earn a lot of spirit stones lately?" "Senior, you must be joking. Where will I get so many spirit stones? I earned 40,000 in the corpse realm and spent it all on September spring to please you," he said. Hong Yuye chuckled. Chapter 817. Demonis. Don't want to work for me anymore. September spring was the most expensive tea Jiang Hao had ever seen in his life. 1 pack cost him 20,000 spirit stones. However, it was easier to please powerful seniors with this kind of tea. Tea leaves weren't hard to come by. He could always find somewhere to buy them. The problem was the cost. For a golden core realm cultivator, it was more sensible to buy magical treasures instead of spending money on tea. The tea had temporary benefits, but magical treasures could be used for a long time. It offered better protection. Who would be willing to spend 20,000 spirit stones on a single pack of tea? Jiang Hao sat down after pouring the tea for her. "What does it feel like to master the heaven lock technique?" Hong Yuye suddenly asked. "It feels like being able to see people's talents. It even gives you the power to interfere with it," said Jiang Hao truthfully. The power of the heaven lock technique was unimaginable. However, that technique couldn't be used lightly. It had a great impact. If it weren't for the Hongmeng Heart Sutra, it would have been fatal to use it twice. "What did you give her?" Hong Yuye asked. Li Min was still lying on the ground. "Charm body," Jiang Hao said. Hong Yuye looked at Jiang Hao teasingly. "So, you've learned charm techniques?" Jiang Hao was stunned. He recalled the embarrassing moment when Hong Yuye had caught him reading about charm techniques. He lowered his head to drink tea and chose not to speak. He had already forgotten about that matter, and he didn't expect Hong Yuye to remember either. He hadn't even looked at books on charm techniques for a long time. When Hong Yuye had caught him reading them, he had been too embarrassed to open another book in his lifetime. Hong Yuye didn't ask further. Instead, she looked disdainfully at Li Min. "Why do you always run to unlucky places?" Jiang Hao was unsure how to answer her. He didn't want to venture to ominous places, but he had no choice sometimes. He intended to mine for ores and bubbles. Now that he had finally found a decent mine, he couldn't continue. It was regrettable. "Do you know about the origin of that tree, Senior?" Jiang Hao asked. Hong Yuye fell silent for a moment. It is said that the longevity tree nurtured a clan called the Longevity Clan. When the longevity tree was infused with a curse, the clan also changed. Longevity Clan? Jiang Hao had never heard of it. Other than longevity, is there anything special about this clan? Jiang Hao asked. Hong Yuye thought for a moment. They possess a vast life force. Jiang Hao was puzzled. What did that mean? When Jiang Hao asked again, he didn't get an answer. He could only continue drinking his tea. When he sipped the September spring, he felt much more at ease, and the effects brought by locking heaven gradually dissipated. But spending 20,000 spirit stones in one go was indeed quite extra. The side effect of using the heaven lock technique dissipated. It was a shame that the tea cost 20,000 spirit stones. He recovered slowly. The revival of withered wood ability healed him too. After that, he told her about the discussion they had had at the recent gathering. He also mentioned that the ancient pages might be in the west. He also mentioned the matters of Mu Longyu and Mi Lingwei. The ancient pages are in the west? Asked Hong Yuye. Do you have the exact location? Jiang Hao shook his head. Hong Yuye told him to continue paying attention to any information regarding that. She seemed interested in the sage's pages as well. Any powerful cultivator would be curious about it. If they obtained it, they could change the course of history. Having the ability to foresee what might happen was useful and powerful. Everyone wanted power and control. Senior, are you going to the west? Jiang Hao asked. I will definitely take good care of the heavenly fragrance Dao flower when the time comes. So, please rest easy, Senior. Hong Yuye raised her eyebrows slightly as she held her teacup to her lips. Are you implying you don't want to work for me anymore? I am willing to do everything in my power for you, Senior, said Jiang Hao. Who's going to the west then? Of course, it'll be me. Hong Yuye sipped her tea. Are Mu Longyu and Mi Lingwei a couple? Hong Yuye asked. Yes. They want to break free from the control of the Great Thousand God sect, Jiang Hao said. Are they married? Doesn't the Great Thousand God sect know about them already? It seems that they are indeed married. I think the Great Thousand God sect doesn't know that for now. Hong Yuye smiled. The Great Thousand mental control is not simple. Perhaps not long from now, their secret will be discovered. Jiang Hao was surprised. Mu Longyu is one of the heavenly kings, after all. Does the Great Thousand God sect have a way to deal with him? Confronting one heavenly king would mean confronting 12 of them together. That was almost impossible. Although the Great Thousand God sect was formidable, it probably couldn't afford to offend such a powerful person. Hong Yuye glanced at him with a look that made him feel strange. Jiang Hao could only change the topic. Senior, do you think there's something within that cave? Asked Jiang Hao. You'll find out if you go down, Hong Yuye said. Go down. This was definitely not a place he could walk in recklessly. There was probably a treasure inside. This place wasn't as simple as he had thought. There was the cursed tree and the black water too. Out of curiosity, he asked about the source of the black water. Hong Yuye didn't respond. Jiang Hao didn't press further. He could only continue drinking his tea. He felt better as the tea took effect. He seemed to feel a strange kind of tranquility. When he fully recovered, he found that there was no trace of Hong Yuye beside him. He had almost returned to his peak state. Li Min was awake too. She was leaning against the wall and nursing her injuries. She knew that Jiang Hao had saved her. Soon after, the others arrived. When they saw that both of them were in a sorry state, they seemed stunned. They thought the two people had fought with each other. Jiang Hao understood that they might have misread the situation, so he explained about the beast attack. They finally breathed a sigh of relief. Jiang Hao wasn't weak. If they had actually fought, things would have gone downhill. The five of them gathered together and shared whatever they had discovered. The cave seemed unusually large, and beasts lurked in many places. They marked all of these locations. 2 months passed that way. Around early March, Jiang Hao stopped digging. He had been digging here for 2 months and found that his progress was much slower than before. He had obtained 1 bubble every 3 days or so. He had been lucky to obtain at least 20 blue bubbles in 2 months. In 3 months, he had obtained more than 30 blue bubbles. They had gained a lot. Eventually, they left the cave. This time, there were no unexpected incidents. Outside the cave entrance, Jiang Hao saw the senior brother with hidden cultivation. Of the 10 others who had entered the mines, only he came out alive. Wei Zhixiang and others were amazed. It was unimaginable to lose so many people. After reporting the completion of the mission at the law enforcement hall, they went their own way. Li Min sighed. This was her first encounter with Jiang Hao. She found that he was not someone she could handle. She could only let go of the resentment in her heart. When she passed by a lake, she caught her reflection in the water. She thought she would see her usual boated self, but she found that something was strange. She had changed. Her appearance had changed. She was shocked. She looked elegant and graceful. Even she was amazed by her own beauty and charm. Was this really her? Chapter 8:18. Power Clone Talisman. Jiang Hao felt that there was still some unfinished business when he returned. He glanced at his interface. Name, Jiang Hao. Age, 38. Cultivation realm. Early stage of the Immortal Ascension platform. Cultivation method. Heavenly Sound 100 revolutions. Hong Meng Heart Sutra. Divine ability. 9 revolutions. Death substitution. Unique. Daily appraisal. Clear and pure heart. Reappearance of hidden spirit. Divine might. Revival of withered tree. Heavenly cauldron. Indestructible Vajra. Lifeblood. 51/100 can be cultivated. Cultivation. 49/100 can be cultivated. Divine abilities. 2/3 cannot be obtained. Halfway there. Still need a year to advance. After entering the Immortal Ascension platform, his progression was so slow. He longed to advance to another stage. The next realm would be closer to the Cliff Master. That would make it safer in the sect. After entering the Immortal Ascension platform, there were only 2 people to pay attention to: the Heavenly Notes Sect Master and Elder Baiji. He didn't know how long it would take to reach their realm. If he couldn't surpass these people, he better not be reckless. It was better to focus on his cultivation realm for now. As for his current state, he was not very powerful within the sect. However, there weren't many elders in the sect. He wanted a quiet and peaceful life. His future was promising. He didn't need to take unnecessary risks. He could just wait patiently. Many enemies might already have let go of their hatred, so he was much safer. The Heavenly Saints sect hadn't bothered him for a long time, and the people from the Sunset Immortal sect might have forgotten about him too. He only needed to be careful of the fallen Immortal clan. Other than that, there weren't many things to worry about. The people from the Heavenly Joy Pavilion might also give up soon. He sighed at the kind of opportunities the minds in the sect had. It was entirely possible that someone could find the gift of Charm Body in the area. If the Heavenly Joy Pavilion couldn't let go of him even after this, then only the passage of time could fix it. Decades later, the Pavilion Master would also let it go. Perhaps in a few decades, or after a century, they would forget everything and let go of their resentment. Back at his house, Jiang Hao saw the spirit beast talking to a woman. It was senior sister Lung Tian. Master will return soon. I'm telling you. You might not know this, but I am the future Lord of Demons. But you said the same thing before. I never lie. I'm always honest. Jiang Hao found the exchange amusing. When he approached, the spirit beast saw him and took out a carrot. Master, want a carrot? Jiang Hao ignored it and looked at senior sister Lung Tian. It's been too long, senior sister Lung. How have you been lately? Junior brother Jiang, I see that you're as outstanding as ever, she said in surprise. He was really back. It was only a bit of luck, Jiang Hao said with a soft smile. Then, he asked her why she was here. It turned out that she wanted to sell him some talismans. Jiang Hao understood immediately. It must be some talisman she had obtained after taking life-threatening risks. He invited Lung Tian to the courtyard. When she entered, she sensed dense spiritual energy and a pleasant fragrance. She felt like she had entered a secret realm. Junior brother Jiang, I see that there have been some significant changes here. Lung Tian was surprised. It wasn't like this when she came before. Whenever she visited, it seemed it was better than the last. She felt that junior brother Jiang had some secrets up his sleeves. Forgive me, senior sister Lung. It's just a temporary effect from some spirit herbs I planted, said Jiang Hao. The fragrance of the heavenly fragrance Dao flower made people feel that this place was extraordinary, but it wasn't much different from before. After senior sister Lung Tian took her seat, Jiang Hao brewed a pot of ordinary tea for her. Senior Sister Lung. Have you ventured outside in these years? Jiang Hao asked. More or less. I spent most of my time learning alchemy. I had some luck to try for the Golden Core Alchemist position, she said. Congratulations, Senior Sister Lung. Jiang Hao sensed that she wanted to say something more. It was just luck, she said modestly. After saying that, she changed the topic. This time, I want to ask you if you're interested in talismans similar to the ones before. You found more. Just one more. Jiang Hao felt that something was off. Another talisman? He suspected that she had gained something big. He asked her if he could take a look, and she agreed. Power Clone Talisman. Dip the brush in water. When the sun and moon alternate, clear your mind. Begin to draw the first half of the talisman. Then, you can receive the inheritance and comprehend the Power Clone Talisman. This is a treasure that Lung Tian and her seniors obtained at the risk of their lives. What do you think, junior brother Jiang? Lung Tian asked nervously. I want it, said Jiang Hao with a nod. What price do you intend to sell it for? How much can you spare? Lung Tian asked. 5,000, Jiang Hao said. Lung Tian was surprised. She then smiled. Deal. Jiang Hao handed her 5,000 spirit stones. She gave the talisman to him at a discount. He saved 2,000 spirit stones. It looked like the other party made a profit, but Jiang Hao felt like he was winning. The Power Clone Talisman didn't seem ordinary. He just didn't know its special traits right now. He didn't need a clone, but many people might. Perhaps he could sell it somewhere. He had to learn it first. In the west, Baizhu stood on the street and looked at the Astronomical Academy from afar. She was about to arrive. Her luck had been great on the way. It made her quite curious. Now, she just needed to wait for the gathering. Do you want to go in? Xiao Yi asked. I can't say for sure if we can enter it. Only one way to find out. Wait a moment, young lady, said a sudden voice from behind. Baizhu turned and saw a middle-aged man with two elderly men by his side. They seemed like attendants. Their cultivation realms were all in the primordial spirit realm, while she radiated the aura of the Golden Core realm. Greetings, seniors. Young lady, you're polite indeed. I can see that the luck on your personage is blazing, but your condition doesn't seem too good, the middle-aged man said. Why wouldn't it be good when my luck is blazing? Baizhu smiled and asked. Blazing fortune can attract trouble, the middle-aged man said seriously. Is that so? You're just a little Golden Core realm cultivator, and I am a powerful primordial spirit practitioner. I wouldn't lie to you about cultivation matters. Xiao, he felt that something was strange. Where did this confidence come from even for a primordial spirit realm cultivator? Can you help me, seniors? Baizhu asked with a smile. It's quite simple. You just add a bit of misfortune, the middle-aged man said. Just that. Just that. What do you want in return for your help, senior? I feel that you have an item belonging to one of my predecessors. I want to see if it's true or not. Baizhu looked puzzled. What do you mean? That item is the ancient and modern book, said the middle-aged man. Chapter 819. Primordial Spirit Realm experts will never deceive you. Baizhu stepped back and gripped her storage treasure when she heard him. Senior, how did you find that out? It was obvious. How can a Golden Core Realm cultivator hide something like that from a Primordial Spirit Realm cultivator? The middle-aged man said. Are you planning to snatch it from me, senior? Asked Baizhu. Not really. The middle-aged man shook his head and smiled. We want to take a look at the contents of that book. Of course, it won't be for free. Considering your blazing fortune, it will have a huge impact if it is not dealt with. The book also plays a part in that. Is there something wrong with the ancient and modern book? Baizhu asked. Xiao, he felt something strange. Could the might of primordial spirit realm cultivators be this great? She, too, was a primordial spirit realm cultivator. She felt that these people might not really be in the primordial spirit realm. Who were these people? Materials for the book itself are extraordinary, and the person who wrote it was even more exceptional. What did you think would happen when you obtained it? People, objects, and fortunes from ancient times all come into contact with you. If there's a gap in your strength, there will be significant issues. People with unstable luck should seal the book when they obtain it, the middle-aged man said. Baizhu was skeptical. She had checked it and didn't think it would cause any trouble. Young lady, let's take a look at the book. We will help you suppress it and temporarily seal the ancient and modern book. How about that? Said the middle-aged man. As for your suspicion that a primordial spirit realm cultivator isn't that powerful, you, a golden core realm cultivator, cannot fathom how much power we might have. Chow, he felt these people were insulting her. As a primordial spirit realm cultivator, she didn't sense anything like that. Senior, you just want to take a look? Bai Zhu asked. Of course. The middle-aged man nodded. All right, you can take a look, said Bai Zhu helplessly. The middle-aged man was delighted. Chow, he suddenly felt that the princess was being deceived. These people were tricking her. However, Bai Zhu had already handed over the book. Young lady, you're truly kind, said the bearded old man as he took the book. It's no problem, she said. Then, the three men sat down and started reading the ancient and modern book. Bai Zhu and Xiao, he waited. I haven't finished reading yet, the bearded old man hastily said. Princess, could they be? Xiao, he whispered. Bai Zhu shook her head. I believe these seniors are good people. Xiao, he was speechless. Bai Zhu smiled innocently. She thought that these seniors could even make a cultivator in the Immortal Ascension platform retreat in fear. If they used force, she would be dead already. Even if they took the book away, all she could do was smile and accept it. She had never faced something like this in the South. For a moment, she felt that the South was safer. There were very few major sects in the South. In the other three regions, there were immortal sects everywhere. In the South, she had no rivals, but once she left, there were powerful cultivators everywhere. She felt numb. Look, it mentions the South, exclaimed the middle-aged man. The three of them looked at the book as if they were looking at a sacred scripture, stopping in front of the truth. That's it. Nothing after that. The middle-aged man found it hard to believe. Continue reading, the bearded old man said. Then they flipped to the end. Sure enough, they found another sentence. When we meet again, I might be myself, but also not myself. The three men looked at each other. What does that mean? The middle-aged man sighed. After that, they returned the book to Bai Zhu. Although reluctant to return it, they didn't snatch it away. Young lady, do you plan to sell this book? The middle-aged man asked. This is for a friend of mine. It depends on her, said Bai Zhu truthfully. What's your friend's name? I can't tell you. She couldn't say anything about Zhang. There were some rules they needed to follow as members of the gathering. That's fine. We'll help you seal it and suppress the blazing fortune a bit. However, they'll have to remind you that if you feel something burning in your forehead, danger is close. Similarly, your outstanding fortune might mean that you'll encounter great calamities in the West. Be careful, the middle-aged man said solemnly. Thank you, seniors. Bai Zhu nodded. Then, the three men turned and left. I heard that there's a new tea house in the east of the city, and the pastries there are excellent, said the beardless old man. Let's check it out. Do they have alcohol? They have tea. That's good too. The three walked away. Bai Zhu watched them leave with a strange feeling. Princess, did they really help you? I don't know. She didn't feel any change. But if these three men said they had helped her, they must have. She had to spread the word and then go into seclusion. It would be best if she could attend the gathering. She needed to ask Senior Dan Yuan about it. At the Mountain River Valley, Guan Zhongfei was still waiting. At that moment, he could see a dark cloud in the sky. The person from the Astronomical Academy and Dole were inside that. To think that they would cross that boundary together. Guan Zhongfei had never heard of such a thing. What's going on with Dole? He could see clearly that people like Dole wouldn't live for much longer in the cultivation world. He was indeed fortunate. It was extremely difficult for Dole to stay alive at this point. He heard from some seniors that the person from the Astronomical Academy was fighting her own inner demon. It was likely that Dole might die. At that moment, some people hid in the shadows and some launched their attacks. But no one dared to openly show themselves. After waiting for a long while in the dark, these people came out of hiding when they saw that the person from the Astronomical Academy was indisposed. Flying swords came at them. They wanted to make sure the person failed in her trials. However, seeing such darkness, they felt that the two inside were done for. But if both of them were dead, Wouldn't it mean that he wouldn't be able to give the spirit stones to Dial? After some hesitation, Guan Zhongfei decided to use a magical treasure to try to communicate with Dole. This way, he could at least confirm it. But it was dangerous since a powerful cultivator was still inside. He had obtained the magical treasure from the corpse realm. He just needed to avoid the powerful individual from the Astronomical Academy and find Dole. Guan Zhongfei sighed and decided to use it. The darkness was gradually meshing into the aura of death. If he didn't ask now, it might be too late. If smiling Sanxing asked about it later, he couldn't afford to not have an answer. Dole had no influence. He wasn't someone extraordinary. If someone from the Astronomical Academy was trying to protect him, it was obviously because of smiling Sanxing. Even if it was just an act, he had to play along. Soon, he connected to the darkness using a bead. He heard the voice of a woman. Why struggle so much? The Astronomical Academy has already given up on you. We from the end of all things can help you. Chapter 820. The Divine Soul of the Holy Master at the Heavenly Notes Sect. As the sun and moon alternated in the sky, Jiang Hao began to copy the runes of the talisman as instructed. His mind was clear. Only when the sun completely disappeared did he finally lay down the last stroke. Soon after, a complete set of symbols appeared in his mind. Being in the early stage of the Immortal Ascension platform helped him memorize the symbols quickly enough. When he opened his eyes again, the stone tablet had shattered. He obtained the inheritance of the Power Clone Talisman. Now it was time to buy some materials. The requirements for the Power Clone Talisman were very high, and it required high-grade materials. A stack of materials would cost him 1,000 spirit stones. Given its high cost, Jiang Hao knew that mastering the talisman wouldn't be easy. In 10 days, he had failed 10 times in a row. He spent another 1,000 spirit stones to continue crafting the talisman. Logically, he had done everything right, and he shouldn't have failed. And yet he did. The Power Clone Talisman required power. He failed even in that. After some thought, he decided to suppress his divine sense and see if it worked. 5 days later, a golden light flashed, and the talisman appeared on the table. It worked. He appraised it to see if he succeeded. Power Clone Talisman. Activate it with spiritual energy and reflect it on yourself. You can condense a doppelganger with your power. You can inject basic spells into it. You can easily control it within your field of vision. It cannot be finely controlled, can't sustain with strength continuously, and can't be integrated with divine sense. The clone has the power of the Soul Ascension realm and can last for 2 hours. Jiang Hao frowned slightly. Was this really a Power Clone Talisman? The limitations were too many. He could only remotely control it. It could barely be considered a clone. At most, it might just look like him with no other use. Moreover, it could only last for 2 hours and was uncontrollable beyond the field of vision. It feels like a waste of strength just to make something with a shape. It's not very useful. With that in mind, he infused spiritual energy and reflected it on the spirit beast in the courtyard. Sure enough, a Soul Ascension realm beast appeared next to it. It looked exactly the same as the spirit beast. Even the treasure and fur on its body were the same. I wonder how it works with a person. Jiang Hao was curious and continued crafting the talismans. 3 days later, he succeeded yet again in making another. This time, he tried it on himself. A person who looked exactly like him appeared by his side. The person was in the Soul Ascension realm. He couldn't sense any difference when he inspected it with his divine sense. Only the knowledge from the nameless manual helped him differentiate the clone from the real him. He tried moving the clothes a bit, and he saw strength stripes underneath his clothes. It's not accurate, Jiang Hao sighed. However, it was still quite powerful, especially when infused with the 1,000 miles demonic sound slash after enclosing it in the heavenly cauldron. But where could he use such a clone? He could use it as bait. It wouldn't be discovered easily. The talisman runes were not easy to make out. The Breath Concealment Talisman, the Heaven Secrets Hidden Talisman, and the Power Clone Talisman had similar traits. He felt that the senior who found these talismans was a bit insecure. Jiang Hao still had a lot of spirit stones, so he decided to spend another 8,000 on materials. The success rate went from once every 3 to 4 days at the beginning to once every 2 to 3 days. A month and a half later, around early May, Jiang Hao accumulated 10 power clone talismans. He still had half of the materials left. He had intended to continue making them, but suddenly felt a reaction from the Mountain Sea seal. He had also set up seals around senior brother Mu Qi's place. When the mission ended, he returned to the Spirit Her Garden, and Mu Qi and Miao Tinglian had also gone their own way. Jiang Hao didn't sense the arrival of the Holy Master from the Heavenly Saint sect. He had set up seals around Mu Qi and Miao Tinglian's house. Sure enough, there was a reaction. He was unsure about the opponent's cultivation realm, so he didn't dare to confront them recklessly. At the same time, the stone tablet also vibrated. It seemed that another gathering was close. Jiang Hao didn't think he had anything to say at the gathering, so he had planned to be quiet. He went to senior brother Mu Qi's house. The Mountain Sea seal was all over the place. The purpose of the seal was to try to capture the divine soul of the Holy Master. He sensed that there was indeed a faint trace of divine energy in the place. It was very subtle, and without the Mountain Sea seal, he wouldn't have noticed it. It seems impossible for others to detect it. Jiang Hao lowered his head and thought, I have to try to figure out the strength of the divine soul of the Holy Master to decide the next step. If there's no other way, I'll have to inform Lu Xingchen or Sen Shao Li to inform the Cliff Master. The best course of action was to inform Lu Xingchen. However, it's not the right time yet. Although the other party had locked onto this place, they were still restrained by something. It might take some time for them to arrive. I should consider how to deal with this. Since he didn't know what method the person might use, he couldn't decide what alternative to use to confront them. He could try to use the power clone talisman, if possible. I'll attend the gathering first, and see if I can find anything on the Holy Master. If I can, I'll figure out a way to deal with it. If not, I'll have to think of something else. Ordinary Sanuses might not know much about the Holy Master. Otherwise, he could have asked Miao Tinglian or Ming Yi. Speaking of which, it's been a long time since I last saw senior sister Ming Yi. In the south, there is a spacious place beyond the high mountains where countless disciples gathered and cheered. The return of the Holy Master is near. Let us pave the way for the Holy Master and await his return to the world, shouted an elder from a high platform. The people cheered with him. At that moment, some people were plotting something else beneath the palace. They sat on high chairs and frowned. We have already confirmed which substitute saintess it'll be, said an old woman. It's unexpectedly Miao Tinglian from the Heavenly Notes sect. Miao Tinglian? She has been in the Heavenly Notes sect for many years now. That traitor has been chosen by the Holy Master. She must be lucky, said a middle-aged, beautiful woman icily. The Heavenly Notes sect's reputation has been rising lately. The situation is complicated. I don't know if there will be any trouble this time, said a middle-aged man. Can the Heavenly Note sect be compared to the Holy Master? Their fame is nothing, said a young man passionately. The Holy Master is mysterious and unfathomable. He is unparalleled throughout history. Was a mere sect like the Heavenly Note sect. Besides Miao Tinglian, there is another person in the Heavenly Notes sect that we need to pay attention to. His name is Jiang Hao. He knows the secrets of the mines, said the old woman. I think that's unlikely. The people exaggerated the matter about Yanhua. How could a golden core realm cultivator know the secret of the mine? The middle-aged man asked. What if he does? I've been paying attention to Jiang Hao. He often appears on the sect's merit list. According to rumors, he is treated favorably in the Heavenly Notes sect. In any case, it's not as simple as you think, the old woman said. In that case, inform the Holy Master and let him decide. It won't be long before the Holy Master's divine soul communicates with us. Perhaps we'll need to clear the way for him, the middle-aged man said. Chapter 821. Going back home, if nothing happens, greetings, senior. In the public area of the gathering, Jiang Hao sat cross-legged on the floor. At that moment, Zhang's condition had worsened. She had almost lost her entire consciousness. She was silent. Jiang Hao had a feeling that once she was completely taken over by her inner demon, she would be unable to enter the gathering. It wasn't just Zhang. Something was strange with Gue too. However, Zhang and Gue were the opposite. Xing and Lu were also surprised. Lately, everyone seemed less hopeful about their situation. Dan Yuan looked at everyone and smiled. It seems everyone has been living quite an interesting life. Are there any issues in your cultivation? Zhang seemed unable to speak, but Gue and the others had no problem. Everyone had reached a new realm, sorted out their own situations, and only lacked an opportunity to go beyond. Jiang Hao had a feeling that everyone had something going on in their lives. Lu had successfully advanced. Xing was one step away from an opportunity, and Gue was only a bit slow. As for himself, he dared not show any signs of improvement and could only let them continue to guess. Senior Dan Yuan had no clue either. Then, let me explain the Tao intent to Zhang once again, Dan Yuan said. After that, he began to explain it to Zhang. Jiang Hao was eager to listen, but he couldn't understand it properly. Xing nodded occasionally, while Lu was deep in thought. Gue lagged behind a bit. It showed the differences in their comprehension of Tao intent. But it didn't mean one was stronger or weaker than the other. It was the strength of one's mind that couldn't be measured by just one thing. He remained quiet so as to not reveal his abilities. He rather preferred to keep them guessing about him. After a long time, Zhang gradually woke up from her daze. "Thank you, Senior," Zhang said gratefully. "No need to thank me. Zhang, you have an extraordinary temperament and should be able to overcome this trial. It's just that you've encountered some trouble right now," Dan Yuan said. "It's the end of all things trying to distract me," said Zhang. "Have they already started?" Bai Zhu asked in surprise. She was in the West, so she couldn't get all the information. Thankfully, there weren't any big issues. Who would have thought that everything would start with Zhang? If the end of all things is getting involved, they might have planned it a long time ago, said Xing. He turned to Gue. Be careful. The person that gives you information might also be involved with them. That's right. The best way to communicate with these people is to take the identity of someone from the end of all things, said Lu. Gue nodded. She was unfamiliar with the Western region. She had been confident before. But now, she doubted herself. The end of all things not only wants to destroy the world, but also covets all-powerful things. They won't give up on things that can make history, said Dan Yuan. There may be Sage's page in the West, which the end of all things will try to obtain. Jiang Hao understood. The ancient pages might have information on how to destroy the world or save it. Regardless, the end of all things needed them desperately. They could destroy the world themselves. If there was a way to save it, they would nip it in the bud. Do you have more information about the pages? Dan Yuan asked. According to Shang and the ancient pages should be in the west. He felt something and looked toward the west, where there was a light. Xing thought for a moment. Shang also mentioned a place called Jinshin Cliff. I checked the maps, but I couldn't find this place. I haven't heard of it either, Gue said. I've been to many places in the west, but I haven't heard of this place. Dan Yuan turned to Zhang. Zhang, have you heard of it? Everyone looked at her. After a moment of silence, she said, Jinshin Cliff? I was born there, but it was just an ordinary cliff. Perhaps it has collapsed by now. She then gave them an approximate location. Dan Yuan nodded. He could try to verify it. Naturally, rewards are due. Who knows the whereabouts of Old Man Corpse C? Dan Yuan asked. The question was for Lu because he had mentioned Old Man Corpse C before. He left. For now, no one knows where he went, Lu said. The awakening of the corpse is connected to him, right? He must be in the west as well, said Gue. She felt numb. Wherever she went, there were problems. The threats never seemed to end. She had thought that the southern region was naturally unlucky. She now realized that luck had nothing to do with the south. Perhaps she was the problem. Dan Yuan looked at Jiang Hao. Friend Jing, do you know where the corpse will wake up? Sea Sky Forest, Jiang Hao said in a low voice. All right, Dan Yuan nodded. Then he asked, Is there anything you need? Jiang Hao's information was usually accurate, so he didn't need to verify it. After confirming it, rewards could be offered. Sometimes, information from the others varied in accuracy, but it was impolite to imply that in front of everyone. I need information on the Holy Master of the Heavenly Saints sect and his avatar, said Jiang Hao. He was still thinking about how to bring it up when Senior Dan Yuan asked him if he wanted anything. All right, Dan Yuan nodded. Jiang Hao didn't say anything more. Senior Dan Yuan didn't have any more tasks to assign. At that point, Gue and the others also received the news that Sea Sky Forest was the target of the end of all things. There would be problems there. Moreover, it seemed that the Heavenly Saint sect was about to take action, or else Jing wouldn't suddenly pay attention to the Holy Master. Gue keenly felt that just by listening to the people in the gathering, she could learn a lot of things. Then came the trading session. This time, no one had much to trade. So, they talked about recent developments. What if a person's luck suddenly changes? Gue asked. Gui's luck is like a blazing fire, but has been suppressed. There is no problem for now, but the origin needs to be found soon, Dan Yuan said. Gue was surprised. It seemed those 3 people had actually helped her. The senior said it might be related to the ancient and modern book, Gue said. Dan Yuan shook his head. Without seeing that book, I can't be sure. However, that might be just one reason. More importantly, you must have encountered something on the way. Encountered something? Gue was puzzled. I haven't come across anything recently. She paused for a while. What do you mean, Senior? This involved a transaction, and something was to be offered in exchange. Gue, are you in the West right now? Dan Yuan asked. Yes. Gue nodded. Near the academy, there's an ancient city. In the city, on one of the streets, there's a noodle shop. Look for the owner. He might be able to help you, Dan Yuan said. Gue was overjoyed. There was a way to know more about her present situation, after all. These days, she lived in constant fear. It seemed safer in the southern region. She decided not to wander away from home anymore. If everything turned out fine this time, she would go and meet her 2 brothers. Chapter 822. Searching for the traces of dragons, Gue felt more at ease after she decided on a purpose. What do you need me to do, Senior? Just take a look at the current situation in Sea Sky Forest, Dan Yuan said softly. Although Gue was reluctant to go, she couldn't ignore the matter. She had to complete this request. I will inform the Astronomical Academy. Am unsure whether they'll believe it, said Gue. It was difficult even to inform them, let alone expect them to act on it. The Bright Moon sect has also been paying attention to the West. It is assumed that the one with the Heavenly Tao Foundation establishment is still wandering in the West. They might pay attention to the West. If the information is correct, the Bright Moon sect might act immediately, said Xing. The one with the Heavenly Tao Foundation establishment was still weak. Small issues might not matter, but major problems couldn't be ignored. Those overseas are also paying attention to the West, and many are preparing for the ancient pages of sages. However, the 12 heavenly kings have been quiet lately. They are focusing on the abyssal sea. I also heard that Heavenly King Mu Longyu is trying to collaborate with the other heavenly kings to advance further, said Lu. Jiang Hao was surprised. It wasn't easy for the 12 heavenly kings to band together. It was extremely difficult to get them to cooperate, let alone expect them to advance together in cultivation realms. Heavenly King Hai Luo was the most difficult among them. It seemed impossible for them to succeed. Han Yuye had mentioned a method, but it was quite challenging to find it. They needed to pay attention to the light in the abyssal sea too. After all, the dragon pearl had come from there. The ancestral dragon's heart was there as well. It felt that dragons might appear one day for real. The matter was also related to Shaoli. Jiang Hao had been listening to their discussions. Gue talked about the situation in the West, while Zhang listened vacantly and mentioned the end of all things. A lot had happened overseas, but there wasn't much news from the East. Everyone's attention was focused on the West. It seemed like no one cared about the South for now. That was a good thing. After that, they returned to the old topics and discussed matters relating to Ling Yue, the 12 heavenly kings, and the one with the Heavenly Tao Foundation establishment. In the East, the only matter was the Clear Sky School. It seemed many people from there were venturing out lately. Some people from the Clear Sky School don't know what they've discovered. Many of them have gone out to search for dragon traces and legends about dragons. Some speculate that dragons might be about to appear, Xing said. The meeting concluded after that, and Jiang Hao left. When he snapped out of it, he noted down everything they had discussed. The ancient pages would appear soon. After Han Yuye visited, he might have to head west. The west was the center of activity right now, and there would certainly be many problems there. If Gue met with trouble, she might not be spared. It would be better not to head west unless entirely necessary. After writing everything down, Jiang Hao began to read the nameless manual. He needed to prepare. Apart from that, he only had to wait for information about the Holy Master. He would wait and see if the Holy Master arrived anytime soon. He needed to have some plans to avoid being caught off guard. As for the West, it wasn't urgent. Hong Yuye might not visit him anytime soon. Maybe she might take a few more months. As for the sage's pages, it wouldn't appear so soon. The corpse also wouldn't be awakened this quickly. The Astronomical Academy would need time to intervene, as would the end of all things. As for Old Man Corpse C, no one knew where he was. Everything would depend on his mood. Jiang Hao stopped thinking too much. He activated the clear and pure heart ability and read the nameless manual. In the west, Baizhu opened her eyes. She rubbed her forehead, got up, and walked outside. Xiao, he was still on guard. Why are you up, princess? I found a solution. Can it treat your condition? It may not necessarily be a cure, but it can help understand what exactly is the matter. For now, she only knew that her condition was related to the ancient and modern book. Beyond that, she knew nothing. This kind of blazing luck would burn out fast and would be a danger to her. Ever since that senior had cautioned her that it was dangerous if her forehead got hot, she always felt like it was heating up. I'm still so young. Why do I have to face such problems? Baizhu sighed. Xiao, he didn't know what to say. Regardless of her age, the hardships the princess faced were greater than those of others. It wasn't that the princess had less experience, but rather, she had a remarkable ability to smooth out problems. Others didn't have that ability. Is there an ancient city nearby? Baizhu sat down in one of the chairs. Yes, I heard of it before. It's not very far, said Xiao Yi. Then let's go. We can walk around and see the city, said Baizhu as she got up. She didn't want to delay for even a moment. Although the luck was suppressed, she wanted to know what was going on. Xiao Yi was puzzled, but she didn't say anything. The princess had been worried about the blazing luck all this time. If there was a way to understand it, she would naturally want to go and visit the place as soon as possible. This way, she could put her mind at ease. She had no idea what was going on. The three primordial spirit realm cultivators they had met earlier had confidently declared that they could sense it because they were in that realm. She didn't believe them. She was in the same realm, and she sensed nothing. The sky wasn't bright yet. Baizhu and Xiao Yi arrived at an ancient city. The streets were filled with people. It isn't bright yet. Why are there so many people here? Xiao Yi asked. Baizhu didn't know, but there were indeed many ordinary non-cultivators there. They asked around and found out that many people had come here on a pilgrimage to pay homage to the sages of the past. This sage might be from the Astronomical Academy. Baizhu thought of the Holy Master Jing had mentioned in the gathering. She asked Xiao Yi about him. Holy Master? Xiao Yi thought for a moment. The Heavenly Spirit Tribe seems to have some records. It said that they were sealed by someone from that clan. It might be because of disagreements among members. What exactly were the disagreements about? Baizhu asked. The Heavenly Spirit Tribe clan didn't record the details, but the Saint Bandits might know about it, Xiao Yi said. Baizhu nodded. She didn't think too much about it and walked toward the city. She needed to find a noodle shop. Princess, which one are you looking for? Xiao Yi found that there were quite a few noodle shops in the area. There were 3 or 4 shops right in front of them. There were more than a dozen shops down the street. Baizhu hadn't expected it. She could only visit each one and ask around. Maybe that way she would be able to find the one she was looking for. Chapter 823. Should I find a sister-in-law for you? Baizhu chose a noodle shop randomly. It was the most dilapidated one. The business didn't seem to be going well. Why did you choose this one? Xiao Yi asked. I don't know. It looks like this shop would be the wrong one. That might mean my luck isn't working. If we keep finding the wrong shop, ITLL meaning back to normal, said Baizhu. Xiao Yi was speechless. The princess seemed to have gone crazy. They walked in. Although it looked quite run down, the shop was very clean. Behind the counter was a middle-aged man. A young girl was welcoming customers. "What kind of noodles would you like?" the girl asked. She wore a simple hat and plain clothes. Her skin was tanned as though she spent most of her time outside in the sun. "We don't want to eat noodles," Baiju said. "Don't want noodles?" The girl looked puzzled. "Yes, we don't want noodles, but we'll eat whatever you order for us. It'll mean that it is the most delicious things in the world," said Baiju with a smile. The girl chuckled. "I'll order something for you then." "Then I'll eat whatever you give me," said Baiju. Xiao, he was speechless. "All right, how about plain noodles?" the girl asked. "Okay." Baiju nodded. The girl ordered 2 bowls of plain noodles. Baiju wanted to talk with her more and subtly bring up the matter of her condition. However, 3 more customers walked in. 3 bowls of beef noodles, they said. "No noodles, just beef." Baiju turned to look. Aren't those the primordial spirit realm experts from before? Today, they were in the golden core realm. "Hi, aren't you the kind young woman from before?" exclaimed the man with a long beard. Baiju was speechless. Had she come to the right place after all? She felt a bit lost. She had found the place she wanted, but she felt no joy. He felt like she would be humiliated again. These people weren't in the primordial spirit realm anymore. Everything seemed strange here. After the gathering, Jianghao continued with his usual daily routines. He tended to the spirit herbs in the spirit herb garden and studied the nameless manual. He also learned more about the mountain sea seal. After he made some progress, he would replace the seals. This would increase his chances of encountering the Holy Master in the future. Even if he wasn't an enemy, he might gain some benefits if he found the Divine Soul. The Divine Soul could nourish the mountain sea seal, after all. He just didn't understand why the Divine Soul had such a miraculous effect. One day, Miao Tinglian visited the spirit herb garden to get some spirit herbs. "Junior brother Jiang, please pack these spirit herbs for me." She handed the list to Jianghao. Jianghao looked up and saw that her face was pale, and there were fluctuations in her aura. "Senior sister, you don't look well." "Yeah." Miao Tinglian sat down shakily. "I don't know what's going on. I just feel mentally drained like I've been cursed. But it's not a curse. I haven't figured out the reason yet. I asked the master, but he didn't see anything wrong. He just said my aura and spirit is a bit strange. He told me to be careful and inform him immediately if there's any problem." Jianghao nodded. The Holy Master wasn't someone simple. Even the Cliff Master couldn't see through that power. So, he couldn't help her. Jianghao looked at the list of spirit herbs and found that they were all herbs to replenish spiritual energy. But these were of no use. "Senior sister, eat this." Shali ran over to them. She handed the pastries she had made in the morning to Miao Tinglian. "Oh." Miao Tinglian looked pleasantly surprised. "What's wrong with our little Xiao Li today?" "It's nothing. Maybe you have a little flu. You'll recover soon." "I used to be sick too, but I recovered quickly," said Xiao Li. She could see that Miao Tinglian looked very pale. She instinctively thought of her old parents, who had passed away too soon. Miao Tinglian often came to the spirit herb garden, and she always gave Xiao Li things to eat. They knew each other quite well. Xiao Li was afraid for her. She didn't want her senior sister to end up like her old parents. "Xiao Li, aren't you hungry?" Miao Tinglian asked. "I'm not hungry." "I'm fine," Xiao Li said. Miao Tinglian smiled. "Have these," she said, and handed Xiao Li some beef jerky. "I made it for you." Xiao Li looked at it hesitantly. She wanted to eat it, but felt like she shouldn't. "Go ahead," Jianghao said. Only then did Xiao Li take the beef jerky. She handed some back to Miao Tinglian. "You have some too, senior sister." Miao Tinglian was amused. She looked at Xiao Li. "Junior sister, you're different from what I imagined. I know how to take care of people," Xiao Li said while eating the dried meat. "I can see that. I never thought that you would be so good at taking care of other people," Miao Tinglian said as she propped her chin on her hand and looked at the young girl. Before, she used to tease Xiao Li because it was fun, but she felt touched that Xiao Li had brought her favorite pastries just for her. Xiao Li never shared her pastries with anyone else, but she was giving it all to Miao Tinglian because she was ill. Xiao Li looked worried, as though she was afraid that something might happen to Miao Tinglian. "Junior sister, You shouldn't stay in a demonic sect, said Meow Tinglian before she could stop herself. I'm very happy here, Xiaoli said. Meow Tinglian nodded. Xiaoli was well protected. The most important creature that protected her was the spirit beast. With the beast around, nobody could harm Xiaoli. Moreover, Xiaoli was a true disciple, so no one dared to offend her. Junior sister, do you think I should find you a sister-in-law? Asked Meow Tinglian teasingly. No, senior brother Jiang already has someone in his life. You shouldn't find someone else, said Xiaoli. What? Asked Meow Tinglian curiously. Who is it? It's... Xiaoli thought for a moment. It's a senior sister that I like very much. Meow Tinglian was speechless. Which senior sister is this child talking about? Jiang Hao didn't pay attention to them. He was busy preparing the spirit herbs. Judging from senior sister Meow's condition, the Holy Master might appear soon. He needed to find a way to suppress him a bit. While he picked the spirit herbs, he added a bit of the mountain sea seal to it. He left it on each plant. After refining it, the seal would dissipate a lot. The seal would react, but won't be discovered. That way, he could buy some time. As soon as Senior Dan Yuan found some information on how to handle the Holy Master, he could proceed with his plan. He would then decide if he should face the Holy Master alone or seek help. Senior Sister Meow always treated him well, so he would TRV his best to help her. It would benefit him as well. After some time, Meow Tinglian returned home with the spirit herbs. Not long after, Mu Chi returned home. Master asked me to find the elder from the Candlelight Pill Pavilion. I didn't see him today, but I've delivered the things he wanted me to. Mu Chi sat down. It seems that the master has some disagreement with the person. He can't even show his face. Did you say anything? Asked Meow Tinglian as he handed a cup of tea to Mu Chi. No. Mu Chi took the teacup and shook his head. Will he be willing to help me with my illness? Asked Meow Tinglian as she propped her chin up on her hand. We shouldn't let the master find out about it, said Mu Chi. He glanced at the spirit herbs. What kind of herbs are these? I prepared them myself. I don't know if they'll work. We'll give a try anyway. If it works, you won't need to bow and ask for help from them, she said. Mu Chi didn't say anything for a while. Let me help you make the medicine. It was the least he could do. As for the spirit herbs, they felt that they were of little use. If their master couldn't find a solution, how could they? Chapter 824. The person backing Zhang Hao Mu Chi was brewing the herbs in a pot, while Meow Tinglian sat by his side and instructed him what to add. The two occasionally talked about the spirit herbs and their benefits. They didn't rush. They simply sat beside each other to try and make things better. This spirit herb is something I discovered while reading ancient texts. I think it might be useful, Meow Tinglian said with a smile. Yeah, that might be useful, said Mu Chi. As time passed, it drizzled lightly. It's raining, Meow Tinglian said as she looked outside. Yes, it's raining. Mu Chi also glanced outside. Before long, the rain pattered on the roof heavily. Water flowed down from the roof. It's pouring now, Meow Tinglian said. Yeah. Mu Chi nodded. They stared outside quietly and listened to the sound of the rain. It felt peaceful. After a while, the spirit herbs finally finished brewing. Mu Chi carefully poured it into a bowl and placed it in front of Meow Tinglian. She leaned in to smell it. It's a bit bitter. She took a sip. It's sweet once it goes down. Sweet. Mu Chi was in disbelief. That shouldn't be the case. It is, Meow Tinglian smiled. You brewed it after all. Mu Chi fell silent. He let her drink the medicine. Soon, she finished everything. They wanted to see if it would work. After some time, Meow Tinglian felt her condition a bit. It seemed like her aura calmed. Mu Chi also noticed it, because he had spent a considerable amount of spirit stones to buy a magical tool to check the state of her aura. Her aura seemed much more stable. Did it really work? He was surprised. It seems to. Meow Tinglian was also surprised. How is this possible? Even if there were spirit herbs mentioned in the ancient texts, she had chosen one at random. How had it worked? But the result was right in front of them. Let's try again tomorrow. They'll go to the Candlelight Pill Pavilion to see that senior, and then he'll go to the Spirit Herb Garden to collect more herbs. They'll come back and brew it for you, Mu Chi said. He sounded a bit more hopeful than before. Okay. Meow Tinglian nodded. The next day, Mu Chi left early in the morning. Miao Tinglian stayed at home. She checked her condition and found that it had indeed improved. But her situation was still grave. If the spirit herbs worked, it would be much better. At dusk, Mu Qi returned. He brought back the spirit herbs. There was still no information from the candlelight pill pavilion. He brewed the medicine and had Miao Tinglian drink it. However, unlike yesterday, there was no change after Miao Tinglian drank the medicinal brew. The spirit herbs were ineffective. But why? Maybe it only works the first time? Maybe my body has developed tolerance to it? Miao Tinglian said. Mu Qi thought that was unlikely. The effect of the herbs had been so significant the first time. Now, there was no change. After some thought, he asked, "Did you gather the herbs yourself before?" "No." Miao Tinglian shook her head. "I asked junior brother Jiang to pack them for me." She suddenly realized something. Is it possible that he hush? Mu Qi pressed his finger on Miao Tinglian's lips. "Don't say out loud. I'll ask junior brother Jiang for help in gathering some spirit herbs tomorrow. Let's see if it works." Miao Tinglian nodded. Another day passed. Mu Qi returned in the afternoon. He had asked Jiang Hao for help in gathering the spirit herbs. They brewed the herbs just like yesterday. After it was done, Miao Tinglian drank it. They waited. Like yesterday, the medicinal brew made Miao Tinglian feel better. She looked at Mu Qi in disbelief. Some people have powerful individuals at their back. "Don't make wild claims," Mu Qi said in warning. Miao Tinglian nodded. Jiang Hao had seemed extraordinary for a long time. People who offended him usually met with a bad end. Mu Qi guessed that someone else might be helping him. Jiang Hao's rapid progress in cultivation also implied that he did have the backing of someone powerful. Who this person was, Mu Qi's master probably didn't know, and the sect was investigating. That was why Jiang Hao's name was always on the suspect list of the law enforcement hall. It seemed Jiang Hao might have sought support from the unknown power to help Miao Tinglian. Although it was just a simple suppression for a while, it was still remarkable. They hadn't asked for help. Yet, Jiang Hao had offered it all the same. It was best to pretend to not know anything and let things be. Being deliberately oblivious would work in both their favor. As for how Jiang Hao did it, they had no way of knowing. Jiang Hao didn't know if he would be discovered. He thought senior brother Mu Qi would guess it was him at most. He could just explain that the heavenly fragrance Dao flower had some benefits. There was nothing to be concerned about. At that moment, the heavenly fragrance Dao flower already had some buds on it. If he didn't help senior sister Miao suppress her condition, the consequences would be dire. He was reading when the spirit beast suddenly jumped up. "Master, there's someone outside." Jiang Hao put down the book and walked outside. It turned out to be Hai Ming. "Senior brother, Hai Ming." He greeted him with a bow. Hai Ming was still in the return to Void Realm. The first time he had met him, Jiang Hao had felt like he was a threat. There was a significant difference in their cultivation realms. Now, the other party was still in the return to Void Realm, while he had already reached the Immortal Ascension platform. This person was no threat to him anymore. Killing him in the sect would lead to trouble. There was no need for unnecessary trouble. If he kept him alive, he could get more information on Fenghua. Someday, this person would reveal everything anyway. "Young friend, how have you been lately?" Hai Ming asked. "I'm okay," Jiang Hao said with a nod. "This is for you, young friend." Hai Ming handed him a piece of paper. "What is this? Perhaps a surprise?" Hai Ming left with a smile. Jiang Hao watched him as he left and frowned. Hai Ming seemed to be enjoying himself. He opened the note and read it. There was only one line on it. "I have an avatar that has entered the Heavenly Notes sect. Guess what would happen if it kills someone? Will the Heavenly Notes sect be able to find my main body?" Jiang Hao lowered his head. This was a threat. Indeed, Fenghua was dangerous. He needed to find her and convince her to let go of her grudge against him. He also needed her to reveal the information about the stone tablet. He also wanted to ask her why she was so focused on the Heavenly Notes sect. He felt that there was some secret hidden here that no one knew about. Hong Yue wanted to know about the mastermind behind the stone tablets. Jiang Hao didn't know who it was and why she wanted to find them. After a few days, Jiang Hao felt the stone tablet vibrate. He knew that he would finally get some information on the Heavenly Saint sect. He hoped the information would explain the issue of the Holy Master. His next step would depend on that. If the Holy Master was too strong, he would let Lu Xingchen handle it. Chapter 825. Bury him back in his courtyard. Jiang Hao took out the stone tablet. He chose to ignore the threat from Feng Hua for the moment. The more he cared about it, the happier she would be. She was probably trying to find his weakness by targeting Xiao Li. She had gained nothing in the end. Instead, she had lost 3 of her avatars. She didn't even know how they died. Jiang Hao assumed Feng Hua felt angry right now. The threatening note she had sent was probably just a bluff to make him flustered. If he paid attention to it, he would be playing right into her hands. Ignoring her was the best option. Since he would soon gain more information on the Holy Master, it was better to think about his next step. He checked the stone tablet. It was indeed information he had asked about the Holy Master. The information was sent by Senior Dan Yuan. The Heavenly Saint sect firmly believes that the Holy Master is their hope. Their entire core revolves around the Holy Master. The sealed Holy Master can hear their voices and occasionally send some divine thoughts and blessings. As a result, the sect has developed rapidly. Many join the Heavenly Saint sect for small favors. The majority, however, join because they don't know who else to turn to, and the Heavenly Saint sect's preaching includes the promise of fulfilling their wishes. Perhaps the Holy Master is the most important. Jiang Hao continued to read. This was not what he was looking for. The predecessor of the Heavenly Saint sect was the Heavenly Spirit tribe. Once, the Heavenly Saint sect was similar to the Heavenly Spirit tribe, but the 2 clans had different ideologies. The Heavenly Spirit tribe looked down on all beings, but did not seek to enslave them. They already considered themselves superior. On the other hand, the Heavenly Saint sect despised all living beings and sought to subjugate them. With different ideologies, the conflict began. The Heavenly Saint sect was defeated, but it managed to survive and recover. The Holy Master rose from the ruins with a divine soul and vowed to reclaim the glory of their clan. They engaged in another war against the Heavenly Spirit tribe. At that time, someone from the Heavenly Spirit tribe emerged and sealed the Holy Master. His identity was Untraciate 1E at Tini time. That now it seems NE was a saint bandit. Jiang Hao recalled what he saw in the Heaven Lock technique. There might have been a great war between the Heavenly Spirit tribe and the Heavenly Saint sect. Later, the Saint Bandits rose and began their own plan. The Heavenly Saint sect wanted to enslave everyone, and the person who sealed the Holy Master wouldn't allow it. However, was it during the era of the Human Emperor? Where did the Heavenly Saint sect get the courage? Did the Heavenly Spirit tribe suffer a major defeat? And was it possibly connected to the Human Emperor? Jiang Hao couldn't know for sure. Still, he hadn't found what he was looking for. He continued to read further. He found some information on the Holy Master. The Holy Master, even if killed or sealed, cannot be completely annihilated. His true self is challenging to break free from the seal, but over countless years, there have always been incarnations of the Holy Master. Without exception, they use women as vessels, specifically the ones appointed as saintesses of the Heavenly Saint sect. It's said that a true saintess can bear most of the Holy Master's soul, while a saintess candidate can only bear a small portion. When the Holy Master descends, he will infiltrate various sects and lurk within. Perhaps there are even fragments of the Holy Master's soul in some sects right at this moment. The Great Thousand God sect seems to be collecting the Holy Master's divine souls and hunting them down. Some people in the Great Thousand God sect assume that the Holy Master has descended 7 times till now. Among them, 3 were at the peak of the return to Void Realm, 3 at the Immortal Ascension platform, and 1 beyond the Immortal Ascension platform. The stronger the vessel, the stronger the power would be. The saintess candidates at the Primordial Spirit Realm or Soul Ascension Realm are most likely to hold an Immortal Ascension platform divine soul. After the Holy Master's descent, he will destroy the original soul of the vessel, devour it, and take on the body of the original host. There were some additional details, but Jiang Hao didn't find them particularly interesting. At that moment, the most important thing was the gap in strength. A primordial spirit or soul ascension realm cultivator was likely to produce a divine soul beyond the immortal ascension platform. That would mean that Miao Tinglian, who is at the golden core realm, might produce a divine soul at the immortal ascension platform. Jiang Hao thought about it. If the divine soul was at the immortal ascension platform, he couldn't be certain of his victory. If he could catch the opponent off guard, he might have a chance. His primordial spirit was quite powerful, especially after so many years of cultivation. With additional divine abilities and the immortal mountain sea shield, he might have a chance against someone at the middle stage of the immortal ascension realm. It was also unlikely that the opponent would be at their peak when they were just born, so that could work in his favor too. He needed to keep some hidden cards in hand. For urgent backup, he would need the Cliff Master. Louis Xingqian might not be enough. He might need the Spirit Beast to take Xiao Li over to the Cliff Master to protect her. If he couldn't win, he would leave a spell on the beast so he could find the Cliff Master. He had to prepare for every possibility. The Heavenly Cauldron probably couldn't stop the Holy Master's divine soul. The Yin-Yang bracelet could, but Miao Tinglian would need to be within the bracelet's range for it to succeed. He could try to trap the opponent in the Heavenly Cauldron until he could use the Yin-Yang bracelet on Miao Tinglian. He could then leave only one way open. That way, he could fully engage with the opponent. But there was a small problem. When the Yin-Yang bracelet was activated, could he get out from the inside? Could he use the golden ring inside it to escape? It was hard to say. After hesitating, he went to the courtyard to test it out. He found that he could do it, but the two powers clashed. He didn't know what would happen at that moment. Jiang Hao shook his head in confusion and went to senior brother Mu Chi's house that night. When he arrived, he sent someone nearby. Just as he was about to examine further, the other party disappeared. Jiang Hao frowned. He guessed that it might be someone from the Heavenly Saint sect. It seems they have decent strength. I wonder whose identity they used to enter the sect. If they pretended to be disciples of the sect, it would be troublesome. He had to find Louis Xingqian. Jiang Hao went to the Spirit Herb Garden the next day. A few ordinary non-cultivators were in the garden. Even when they didn't have a lack of people at work, these people still came here asking for work. Senior brother, this time there are 5 people, said Cheng Cho. How old are they? Jiang Hao asked. One is 20 years old, and the rest are around 15 or 16 years of age, Cheng Cho said. Jiang Hao looked at the 5 people. The first 4 were ordinary non-cultivators. They looked frail and were dark-skinned. It was obvious that they were malnourished and were clothed in rags. They probably were destitute. They were eager to come here and work. Even if they ended up dead, they hoped for at least a few good meals. However, some people were worried about their families and would rather starve and send money back home. Jiang Hao didn't ask about their situation. Once they were here, there was no way back. He couldn't do much for them, except give them a decent wage and help them survive for a while longer. It didn't matter whether they resented or respected him. It didn't matter to him either way. The last person surprised him. He was a soul ascension realm cultivator. It was a bold move on the part of the Heavenly Saint sect to send a soul ascension realm cultivator to spy on Miao Tinglian. He was a fanatic follower of the Holy Master and was here to make way for the Holy Master's divine soul to manifest. He was ready to kill everyone here for the Holy Master. Jiang Hao could understand the risk he was taking. He was a fanatic after all. The next day, Cheng Cho found him again. Senior brother Jiang, the 20-year-old young man, was found dead yesterday. HM, bury him, Jiang Hao said calmly. Chapter 826. In the one who I'll kill you since they weren't disciples of the sect, their death wouldn't matter. The people of the law enforcement hall didn't bother with ordinary non-cultivators. So, just burying them was enough. It wouldn't cause any commotion. Jiang Hao didn't know how many people had come from the Heavenly Saint sect, but it was definitely more than just this one person. He just had to wait for the arrival of the Holy Master. Jiang Hao had been waiting from May until June. During this time, he encountered 3 strong individuals from the Heavenly Saint sect. If they were disciples, he wouldn't lay a hand on them, but if they entered as ordinary people, he would kill them all, especially at the Cliff of Broken Hearts. The only regret was that their stored treasures seemed to lack spirit stones. The absence of spirit stones was surprising. It seemed even the Heavenly Saints sect was broke. However, he found some cultivation techniques. He could collect them for the future to see if they would be useful. One day, Jiang Hao felt a reaction from the mountain sea seal. It meant that the Holy Master was about to arrive. Jiang Hao muttered a spell in the beast's ear in the courtyard. The spell would help the spirit beast take Shao Li to inform the Cliff Master to alert Mu Qi. The Holy Master is about to arrive, and there might be people from the Heavenly Saints sect nearby. Not just inside, but also outside. Jiang Hao lowered his head in thought. The Holy Master was everything to the Heavenly Saints sect. When his avatar arrived, the Heavenly Saints sect would undoubtedly make a big move. If anyone affected the Holy Master's appearance, the Heavenly Saints sect would go mad. They were waiting and biding their time for an attack. However, as soon as he arrived at Senior Mu Qi's house, he frowned. There was a faint and elusive aura in the surroundings. It was concealed exceptionally well. Without the nameless manual, Jiang Hao wouldn't have sensed it. However, he didn't dare to probe it further. From the surrounding fluctuations in spiritual energy, he could tell that it was the presence of an immortal ascension platform expert. Why are they so well hidden? Jiang Hao was surprised. This person's methods were much stronger than the previous members of the Heavenly Saints sect. Such people were dangerous. Since he had detected them early, he couldn't act recklessly. He waited. Under the moonlight, Jiang Hao stood under a tree and used the nameless manual to sense the surroundings. After some time, he sensed more immortal ascension platform experts appearing. But these were not as formidable as the previous experts. Their concealment techniques were quite crude. They were all from the Heavenly Saints sect. It seems there are many people arriving. Jiang Hao was surprised. While Jiang Hao thought about what to do, a burst of light flickered outside the sect. Boom! A deafening sound reverberated. A powerful attack struck the mountain formation of the Heavenly Note sect. Jiang Hao saw people flying toward the sect perimeter. Many people also left the Cliff of Broken Hearts. Senior Mu Qi's house was sealed off by a barrier, so they remained unaware. Jiang Hao knew why these people had taken action. Many people who entered had already died, and they feared their plan had been discovered. They were drawing the attention of the Heavenly Note sect away from their target. It seems I was too hasty. Jiang Hao couldn't help but sigh. He had killed them to reduce the risks, but he had ended up hurrying the inevitable. But it's just right. The chaos outside allowed him to act with peace of mind. He could blame all issues on the Heavenly Saints sect. However, he still couldn't understand who was hiding so well in the shadows. Feeling the changes in the mountain sea seal, Jiang Hao took out the Thousand Faces treasure fan. The one who intervened would naturally be smiling Sansheng, not Jiang Hao. When he transformed into smiling Sansheng, he suddenly realized who the person in the shadows was. The other parties seemed to be here to collect the Holy Master's divine soul as well. Meanwhile, 3 people watched Mu Qi's courtyard. They needed to verify that Miao Tinglian was actually there. Everything seems to be going smoothly, said the only woman among the 3. At present, it seems fine. I don't know how the ones who came in earlier died. To be safe, we have our people in other places. If someone takes action, we can spread the news and then verify the situation, the middle-aged man said. People outside have launched an attack. They'll buy us some time. There are no powerful experts here right now. It's just a matter of time, said a young man. Let's use the altar. Let the Holy Master descend. After confirming the situation, they planned to set up the altar to attract the Holy Master's divine soul. The Heavenly Note sect was in chaos right now, so they had an opportunity to act. Otherwise, it would have been dangerous. The sudden attack left the Heavenly Note sect bewildered. By the time they reacted, it was already too late. Do we need to catch Jiang Hao? Asked the woman. No need to create unnecessary trouble. Let the Holy Master descend first. Everything else can wait, said the middle-aged man. The others nodded. The Holy Master was the priority. After that, they prepared the altar to help the Holy Master descend quickly. Inside the house, Mu Qi frowned. He sensed danger. He had obtained an ancient inheritance in the mine, so he could naturally perceive many things. He looked at Meow Tinglian beside him in worry. At that moment, Meow Tinglian was at the table. She was carefully sorting out the spirit herbs. "Why are you looking at me like that?" she asked when she saw him staring. "Don't you feel something?" Muchi asked. He felt that Meow Tinglian was quieter today than before. "No, I was just thinking of you," Meow Tinglian said. "Let's leave first." Muchi stood up and pulled Meow Tinglian along. It was definitely not safe here. However, when they walked out, they found that there were explosions outside the sect. They had heard nothing from inside. It meant there was a barrier enclosing this place. "Someone is targeting us," Muchi said. "Not us. Me," said Meow Tinglian. She let go of his hand so that he could leave safely. But Muchi took her hand firmly in his. Muchi turned to look at her. His look of determination made her feel like laughing and crying at the same time. At that moment, a faint light descended from a distance, and Meow Tinglian swayed as if she was about to faint. "We need to leave this place first." Muchi tried to leave with Meow Tinglian. However, a sword struck them. Boom! It was a simple attack. They managed to dodge it. 3 people walked out of the woods. They were all middle-aged men. They stared at Muchi with contempt. "Kill him. This person is a real pain." "He'll do it." A primordial spirit realm cultivator swung his blade at Muchi. Boom! As the attack struck Muchi, a shadow appeared on his body. It looked like a mythical hybrid of a fish and a monster. Boom! The shadow blocked the attack and sent the enemy flying. He spat out blood and stood up shakily. "Not bad. Can you withstand a few more attacks?" The middle-aged man took a step forward. Meow Tinglian felt anxious. She wanted to do something to protect Muchi. However, at that moment, flames appeared everywhere. Boom! The flame shot out from a distance and hit the middle-aged man. It forced him to retreat. "Not bad. How many times will you be able to block me?" said a playful voice. "Who are you?" The middle-aged man was shocked. However, what frightened him more was that he felt someone standing behind him, but hadn't sensed when they had approached. He heard laughter. "I'm the one who will kill you. Isn't it obvious? I haven't killed you yet. Just wait for it." A flash of the blade, and the man was beheaded. The middle-aged man watched his companion's head separate from his body. He didn't even know what had happened. He heard another laugh. "Do you know who I am?" Chapter 827. The divine soul of the holy Mister as the people dispersed. Jiang Hao looked at Muchi and Meow Tinglian with a smile. At that moment, he had a long blade in his hands. "Didn't scare you, did I?" This sudden greeting sent shivers down their spine. The person could appear behind them at any moment and behead them. Jiang Hao hadn't expected to make a move so soon. If senior brother Muchi could withstand the attacks, he wouldn't have tried to attack. Minor injuries didn't matter to him. As long as Muchi and Meow Tinglian could survive, he didn't need to act. There were still people hiding in the dark. He wanted to wait for the hidden people to make a move first. Unfortunately, the people from the Heavenly Saint sect were too strong. It was impressive that Muchi had been able to withstand the attacks as long as he had. If he continued to fight, he would really die. If there were more primordial spirit realm experts, Muchi might have been able to hold on a little longer. As for senior sister Meow, she was only a golden core realm cultivator and had no way to fight against the descent of the Holy Master. This was an inescapable situation. Muchi and Meow Tinglian had never thought that those who would attack them would be the ones that returned to Void Realm or beyond. There might be even higher realm individuals hiding in the shadows. However, they didn't reveal themselves. If they did appear, Jiang Hao could only retreat and ask his master for help. It was still manageable now, but it was a pity that he had to act so soon. "Thank you, senior," said Muchi in fear and respect. Jiang Hao grinned. "Since I saved you, shouldn't you offer me some rewards?" Muchi didn't say a word. He took out his storage treasure. "There are 50,000 spirit stones in here. You can have them, senior." Jiang Hao was speechless. Senior brother Muchi was indeed wealthy, but he was still far behind. He still had more than 160,000 spirit stones. It was more than enough. Jiang Hao ignored the storage treasure and turned to the two soul ascension realm cultivators. He smiled at them. Do you guys know who I am now? Who are you? Asked the middle-aged man warily. They had already informed the others. People began to surround them. This stranger's cultivation realm was unclear, but he was definitely not weak. However, they had no intention of fleeing. They felt honored to be able to contribute to the descent of the Holy Master. Do you think you can still be of use to the Holy Master if you end up dead here? Asked Jiang Hao with a smile. Then, I won't kill you for now. Let's wait together for the descent of your Holy Master, shall we? The two were overjoyed. It was an honor to be able to watch the descent of the Holy Master with their own eyes. Just as they were about to agree, a figure appeared behind them, and a glint of steel flashed past. With a sweep of the blade, the two were turned to ashes. Just kidding. How could you believe such a simple lie? He laughed. Mu Qi and Miao Tinglian looked at each other in fear. The person in front of them was unfathomable. He was unpredictable. It seemed that he could do anything as long as it fit his whims. Jiang Hao looked into the distance. People were arriving. They were at the return to Void Realm. There are really a lot of people in the Heavenly Saints sect. Jiang Hao wasn't worried that these people might escape. He had already set up the yin-yang bracelet before he took action. Thankfully, it hadn't been discovered by anyone. It seemed that the person in the Immortal Ascension platform had weakened some other aspects of his power to conceal himself. If his perception wasn't affected, he could detect the yin-yang bracelet. It was also possible that he couldn't detect it at all. As for the Heavenly Cauldron, he didn't dare make changes to it. He was afraid the person in hiding might discover it. He didn't want to startle the snake in the bushes. He hoped that whoever was hiding wouldn't realize the effect of the yin-yang bracelet. Otherwise, the person might escape while he tried to help Mu Qi and Miao Tinglian. Jiang Hao pretended he couldn't sense the person hiding in the dark. The person didn't seem to want to start a conflict just yet. The surrounding barrier had strengthened. At that time, the aura of the Holy Master became even more intense. It seemed that they were all waiting for the right moment. Jiang Hao turned to look at senior sister Miao Tinglian. She looked very pale. It seemed the Holy Master was very close. Jiang Hao smirked. He leaped toward Miao Tinglian with his blade. This sudden change shocked Mu Qi and Miao Tinglian. Everyone was shaken. Even the hidden person felt a fluctuation in his power. Jiang Hao was excited. He slashed down. Immediately, a primordial spirit realm cultivator jumped in front of her. Jiang Hao used the second form of the heavenly blade, mountain suppression. His blade rose and fell. The primordial spirit realm cultivator turned into ashes. Jiang Hao charged toward Miao Tinglian again. Many Heavenly Saints sect members rushed over and tried to buy time for the person trying to activate the altar secretly. If Miao Tinglian were injured, it would not only stop the descent of the Holy Master, but also damage her soul severely. They couldn't afford that. There are so many of you. Jiang Hao slashed and killed the members of the Heavenly Saints sect one after another. No one could withstand his blade. They had never expected someone to target Miao Tinglian. Clearly, they had the upper hand, but they suddenly found themselves at a disadvantage. After killing enough people, Jiang Hao finally stopped. At that point, Miao Tinglian looked even paler than before, and the Heavenly Saints sect's people stood in front of her. They were afraid the person in front of them would hurt her. You don't need to be so nervous, Jiang Hao said. I'm here to protect her. I'm just luring you out to kill you all. How about you step aside, so I can really kill her this time? Jiang Hao's words puzzled the Heavenly Saints sect's people. They couldn't understand what the person in front of them was thinking. At first, they thought the person wouldn't make a move, but his intimidating attitude scared them. They didn't dare act recklessly. Who are you exactly? Just tell us what you want. We'll try our best to give you whatever it is that you want, said the middle-aged man. I want the Holy Master's divine soul. Will you give it to me? Jiang Hao asked. You are impertinent. Do you think the Holy Master's divine soul is something you can touch? Asked the middle-aged man. Jiang Hao nodded. What's your name? Murong Yulei, the middle-aged man said. You say the Holy Master's divine soul is untouchable, right? Asked Jiang Hao. Of course, Murong Yulei said proudly. The Holy Master is omnipotent. How can the power of the heavens and earth allow you to desecrate him with your evil thoughts? Smiling, Sansheng laughed. Well, just to prove you wrong, I can kill your holy master in front of you and gnaw at his divine soul, he said. No need to thank me. After all, I'm here to make you understand that the holy master is not as great as you think. Ignorant and arrogant as I am, I can still touch the holy master's divine soul. The heavenly Saint sect's people were infuriated. Someone charged a Jiang Hao for insulting the holy master. Boom! The person wanted to inflict serious damage. Jiang Hao stood tall and unmoved. He watched everyone. His indestructible Vajra ability allowed him to withstand attacks. At that time, a ray of light flashed, and the holy master's divine soul reached the place. The people from the heavenly Saint sect were overjoyed. Chapter 828. First comes the Holy Master, then the heavens, the spirit beast, and Shaoli noticed the changes outside the sect. The spirit herb garden was busy again. The Soirit beast stood in the Estirit herb garden. MV friends might have Soriad the word about what a great demon I am. They won't dare come here. For a moment, the people there felt safe. Cheng Cho was the same. However, the absence of Jiang Hao made him feel uneasy. If senior brother Jiang had been here, they all would have felt much safer. Shaoli stood by the beast's side vigilantly. This was a place she often played in. This was the safest place. Suddenly, there was a sound outside. The spirit beast and Shaoli walked out. When they walked a bit further, they were surrounded by people. It was two young men. Both were at the peak of the Golden Core realm. I didn't expect you to come out so quickly, said the dark-skinned man with a smile. Shaoli looked puzzled. Who are you? Never mind who we are. Meeting us is your bad luck. We, from the Heavenly Saint sect, have come to take you away. You should be grateful, said another young man with stubble. Beast, aren't they your friends? Shaoli asked the spirit beast. No, they're not. The spirit beast looked at the two men. If they're not my friend, then they're nothing. Ridiculous. We are from the Heavenly Saint sect, and we have a holy master, said the man with the stubble. Who is the holy master? Shaoli asked. The holy master is the highest existence in heaven and earth. The world is formed by his divine thoughts. First comes the holy master, then comes heaven, said the man with the stubble. Do you know who the spirit beast is? Shaoli asked. Who? The man with the stubble frowned. The beast stood in the air proudly. All friends know that I am the future great demon. If you say the holy master comes first, I might get angry. You insolent beast. Ridiculous. The two men were furious and attacked them. Shaoli clenched her fists angrily. You are the ones talking nonsense. After a while, Cheng Cho ran out of the garden. Shaoli looked confused. Why did they run away as soon as I made a move? The beast said, It's because they fear my friends. I just received news that people from the Heavenly Saints sect have attacked. Cheng Cho said. The Holy Master is not as good as the beast, Shaoli said seriously. The Holy Master is not as good as that beast. A disciple of the Heavenly Notes sect passing by overheard them. He was a bit surprised. Is that true? I'll have to ask. Was the beast that influential? Jiang Hao stood still and waited patiently. He had made enough preparations. If he couldn't handle it, he would use the yin-yang bracelet to trap them and take them away. Then, he would alert his master. If he could handle it, then he would solve the problem as soon as possible. There was also the person hiding. The light became brighter, and Miao tingly and shimmered. There was a mark on her forehead. That mark was imprinted in her soul. If the Holy Master descended, the consequences would be inevitable. Mu Qi wanted to do something, but he found that it far exceeded his capabilities. The only thing he could do was to seek help from his master. Don't worry, I am protecting you, aren't I? Jiang Hao chuckled softly, but who would dare to believe that? They couldn't understand this person at all. Mu Qi bowed respectfully and hoped that this person could really save Miao Tinglian. The light was golden, but it wasn't easy to sense. They were close, so they could see it. At that moment, Morong Yule looked at her fanatically. They could feel that the Holy Master was approaching. Jiang Hao frowned. The golden light was powerful. It was extraordinary. He felt that he might not be able to face it head on. He had to be prepared to escape. Ha ha, you ignorant madman. Now that the Holy Master is descending, you can't escape even if you want to. Murong Yulei laughed maniacally. Jiang Hao turned and looked at him. My name is Smiling Sansheng. You can call me that. Smiling Sansheng. You're dead, said Murong Yulei. At that moment, the light appeared closer, and they were too late to stop it. Miao Tinglian fainted, and the mark resonated with the terrifying existence. Then, with a bang, a golden light struck down. It's here. Jiang Hao felt both excited and worried. Perhaps it was because he pretended to be Smiling Sansheng. He wanted to encounter a strong opponent and test out his new ability. He wanted to feel the power of the immortal ascension platform. The golden light rushed toward Miao Tinglian. Boom! When the golden light was about to reach her, a shield materialized and blocked it. The golden light was repelled, and Jiang Hao appeared in front of Mu Qi with a smile. I told you I came to protect them, didn't I? He looked at the golden light, took a step forward, and used the second form of the heavenly blade, Mountain Suppression. There was an explosion. Jiang Hao activated the heavenly cauldron. Instantly, the divine ability surrounded the area. Then, a palm struck toward Mu Qi and Miao Tinglian. The yin-yang bracelet was reversed. The golden light tried to chase them as they left, but Jiang Hao set it in formation again. There was no way out or in. The golden light collided in the void and bounced back. Jiang Hao sighed in relief. Now, no one could leave. He didn't know if the person in the dark sensed what had happened. That didn't matter much. He didn't care. Senior brother Mu Qi and senior sister Miao might be targeted in the future. However, he was doing all he could. It was dangerous for them to be under the gaze of the Holy Master. Jiang Hao sensed anger from the divine soul. Can't get out. Jiang Hao asked, Why are you defying me? Asked a voice from the nothingness. It was unclear whether it was a man's voice or a woman's. At that point, the divine soul slowly transformed into a man with long hair. He looked quite handsome, but he stared at Jiang Hao furiously. The Holy Master, Murong Yulei, and others were prostrated on the ground. The Holy Master looked at Jiang Hao. A mere immortal ascension platform cultivator? Jiang Hao grinned. At least I'm not sealed like a rabid animal. Also, my divine soul isn't coveted like an object. Insolent fool, shouted the Holy Master. The primordial spirit spread, and the long knife in Jiang Hao's hand transformed into a heavenly blade. He resisted it. He had encountered such a strong opponent for the first time since his advancement. Then, he vanished and merged with the light. When he disappeared, the Holy Master looked to the side and struck out his palm. Boom! Jiang Hao's blade collided with it. Then, he disappeared again and swung the blade from another side. The Holy Master sneered. His powerful aura swept through. Is that all you got? Asked the Holy Master. Jiang Hao stood firm. He was excited. He activated the reappearance of the hidden spirit. Chapter 829. I, Smiling Sansheng, am invincible. Jiang Hao felt an unprecedented power when the ability took effect. He took a step forward and swung the heavenly blade. Moonlight flashed. He used the first form of the heavenly blade, moon slaying. Jiang Hao flashed past like a beam of moonlight. The Holy Master sneered. His long hair swayed in the wind, and a halberd appeared in his hand. He swung the halberd. It shook the mountains and rivers. Jiang Hao felt that the entire heavenly cauldron would be shattered. But there was no escape. Clang! The blade and halberd clashed, and sparks flew. Two figures moved at an impossible speed in the air. The blade swept at everything, and the halberd swung as though it would shatter everything in sight. Cracks appeared in the heavenly cauldron, but it quickly recovered. Golden light shone in all directions, and Jiang Hao's heavenly blade swept in a straight line. Boom! With a bang, the two retreated into the air. Jiang Hao took a few steps back, and the Holy Master was also flung back a little. Jiang Hao's clothes were torn at the front. The halberd had struck him there, but the indestructible Vajra had absorbed most of the impact. Jiang Hao touched his torn clothes and smiled. His aura surged, and he hefted the heavenly blade once again. It's no wonder you're so arrogant. It seems you have the means to be that way. Unfortunately, you've revealed too much already. What a pity. This was just getting interesting. The Holy Master erupted with endless divine power. He wanted to crush Jiang Hao. The divine soul pressed down like a towering mountain and hindered his steps. You've come a long way, but you're done for now. There's no need to struggle further. Just stay here and let go. Rest. Jiang Hao felt the gentle and kind words at the core of his being. It was like gentle music surrounding him and putting him to sleep. The only thing he had to do was let go and rest. He was tired. Everything would be taken care of. There was a mark on Jiang Hao's eyebrows. It opened like a third eye. His divine abilities protected him. Jiang Hao stepped forward. His eyes shone brilliantly. He lifted the heavenly blade. He overcame the fog in his mind, overcoming mountains and crossing rivers, never changing. Always move forward, the heavenly blade swung. The road is high, the journey is far, but the scenery is striking. At that moment, he stood high up and looked down at the Holy Master. The heavenly blade swung again. The second form of the heavenly blade, mountain suppression, suppressed the divine soul's might. The blade and halberd clashed, and the aftermath swept through the surroundings. The Holy Master frowned. His appearance began to change. He seemed to transform into a woman. At that moment, a chilly power erupted from the core. The divine soul surged and swept through the surroundings. Boom! The heavenly cauldron was blasted open, and Jiang Hao was knocked back by impact. He crashed into the wall created by the yin-yang bracelet. The impact injured him. It had been a long time since he had been injured like this. However, for some reason, he didn't feel any fear. He gripped his blade. His aura burned. At that moment, the Holy Master stood in midair. She was a formidable woman now. She looked at Jiang Hao with a frown. The divine soul began to wreak havoc in the surroundings. It wouldn't take long for everything to be destroyed. You forced my hand. You must die, said the Holy Master. Jiang Hao wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth. He looked at the sky and grinned. Are you sure you can kill alone? You insolent brat. The storm surged. The divine soul crushed everything around. Instead of retreating, Jiang Hao advanced forward. His spirit and energy rose. Purple energy appeared around him, and his strength surged. He rose into the air and charged toward the divine soul. You have a death wish. You dare to charge at me, said the Holy Master. Smiling, Sansheng laughed. He had no fear in his eyes. Even if there's a violent wind sweeping the earth, I will ride the wind and break through it. The fifth form of heavenly blade, inquiry. The heavenly blade resonated. In an instant, the blade slashed at the surging storm of power. The Holy Master laughed. You think you can stop me with that? You arrogant brat. You have a death wish. Jiang Hao's eyes were filled with madness. A wild smile played on his lips. You are just the lingering twilight, while I am like the rising sun. I have no limits or restrictions like you, but I don't believe I can just cut you down, of course. At that moment, the clash between the blade and the divine soul swept through everything. Invisible forces shattered everything. If either the blade or the storm retreated, it would lead to irreversible consequences. Jiang Hao's mind was covered with illusions. It affected everyone. The future was promising, and he firmly believed he could reach his potential. The blade was beginning to bombard his divine soul. The nine heavens battle armor blocked the storm. The immortal mountain sea shield protected the surroundings. The awe-inspiring divine ability suppressed everything. Purple energy circulated. The revival of withered tree started healing him. Jiang Hao tightened his grip on the heavenly blade. He took a step forward. The imprint of mountains and seas gathered and merged into the heavenly blade. How could I, smiling Sansheng, possibly be defeated? Such arrogance made even the Holy Master feel shaken. Who exactly was this person? How was he so confident? And why did he exude such a terrifying aura? Jiang Hao slashed down. The world changed color as if it was going to split heaven and earth. The storm dissipated, and the Holy Master felt wary. If only she had been able to take over a body, this person would be dead already. At that moment, the storm disintegrated, and the Holy Master's divine soul was slashed into two. Jiang Hao stood in midair. He felt weak. The sword's intent dissipated. At that moment, he looked down. At the high mountain summit, one can see the great river surging. Above the group of mountains, one feels the vast and mighty long wind. He slowly descended in front of Murong Yulei with a smile on his face. What do you think? Did I keep my promise? I told you, the Holy Master is nothing special. As long as there's a blade, anyone can be killed. Murong Yulei stared at smiling San Sheng in shock and anger. Smiling San Sheng had killed the Holy Master, and he was still being smug about it. Everyone was rendered speechless. Seeing your faces, it seems you agree with me, said the blade rose and fell. Jiang Hao felt exhausted, but still had some reserve of power for one last strike. He was waiting for the hidden attacker to come out. Unfortunately, the attacker never appeared. If this continued, he wouldn't be able to endure it. He could do what he could and escape. Meanwhile, the black-robed man hiding in the dark sensed smiling Sansheng's weakness. He wanted to launch a sneak attack. However, he remained motionless. A red figure appeared. Don't you find that strange? Is he pretending or is he truly like this? Asked a crisp voice. Chapter 830. Gift from the demonist. The person in the black robe was delighted when he saw Jiang Hao. It felt like finding something after looking for it for a long time. He had set up various traps. With such preparations, he felt it was likely for him to chase after the other person. He was full of anticipation for the confrontation. These people ending up dead was the best outcome he could hope for. But even if they were gravely injured, that was fine. Both sides suffering because of the Holy Master would be even better. However, after the Holy Master appeared, he was surprised. It made him worried. Smiling San Sheng hadn't disappeared, but he had helped the saintess escape. Only then did he realize that it was impossible to escape this place. When he tried to send a message to the two outside, he found out that communication with the outside world was abruptly cut off. Nothing worked, but he wasn't in a hurry. Instead, he continued to hide in the shadows. If he wasn't discovered, there wouldn't be a problem. Smiling San Sheng fought with the Holy Master and seemed to be at a disadvantage. That was a good thing, and it was beneficial enough for him. Soon, he found that smiling San Sheng was a bit strange. He became more courageous in the fight, and his abilities were extraordinary. His strength and spiritual energy were unimaginable, and he confronted the Holy Master's divine soul head-on. In the end, he killed the opponent in a way that he couldn't understand. However, after that blow, smiling San Sheng was already at the end of the rope. If he made one move, it could kill him instantly. Killing smiling San Sheng would also mean obtaining the Holy Master's divine soul. He was excited. That was what he wanted to see the most. However, when he was about to take action, it seemed like something was pressing down on him. It was all around. How do you perceive the current? Asked Hong Yuya. The man in the black robe said in horror, Senior, I can't fathom the nature of such a person. I was just passing by. I don't want to be trapped. Please, Senior, show mercy. The man's leg shattered. I hate people who lie and evade my questions. The man in the black robe screamed in pain. Smiling, Sansheng acts recklessly. He had madness in his eyes. He is unpredictable. A madman. A madman. Hong Yuya nodded. Then, a red force swept over the man. In an instant, the man in the black robe turned to ashes. At that moment, Hong Yuya saw Jiang Hao turning his head to look at them. A chilling intent swept over them. As soon as their eyes met, the intent disappeared. Jiang Hao was waiting for the hidden person to show himself, but he had never expected Hong Yuya to appear. The intent dissipated, and the aura also disappeared. You seem to have become bolder. Hong Yuya wore a red and white dress. She walked to Jiang Hao. Senior, you must be joking. I didn't know you were here. Otherwise, I wouldn't have even dared to act recklessly. Jiang Hao bowed respectfully. Do you like pretending to be smiling, San Sheng? Hong Yuya asked coldly. Jiang Hao shook his head and quickly dispelled the effect of the Thousand Faces treasure fan. He stood in place in exhaustion. He was injured, so he couldn't move properly. He could lose control and end up unconscious if he wasn't careful. The Holy Master was indeed extraordinary. His own Tao was unable to sever the opponents. If it weren't for the numerous divine abilities and treasures on his body, he would have already died. He couldn't pretend to be smiling Sansheng anymore. It was dangerous. He had been lucky this time, but it might not be the same next time. Don't you want the Holy Master's divine soul? Hong Yue sat down, and Jiang Hao made some tea. Jiang Hao first made tea and then activated the universe in a palm in his palm. For a moment, purple energy covered the surroundings, and the golden soul was enveloped in the purple energy. Finally, it turned into a bead and fell into Jiang Hao's hand. The golden light inside was the divine soul of the Holy Master. However, the divine soul had no consciousness. It was just an object. Just as he was about to examine it closely, the bead flew up and fell into Hong Yui's hand. Jiang Hao could only sit across from her and drink tea. He had brewed September spring. After drinking, he immersed himself in cultivation. His injuries were gradually healing. The next day, when he woke up again, he saw Hong Yue staring blankly at sunrise. "Senior," Jiang Hao called softly. At that point, the sun had risen. Hong Yue turned to look at him. "Is your injury better?" "Thanks to you, Senior. Otherwise, I would be dead by now," said Jiang Hao gratefully. Hong Yue chuckled. "If you want to express your gratitude, you should brew more September spring." "Yes, of course." Jiang Hao nodded. He still had plenty of spirit stones. He could afford it. Hong Yue smiled. "I remember you have a technique called the Mountain Sea Seal, right?" "I do have such a technique." Jiang Hao nodded. "But it's just an ordinary technique, nothing very special." Hong Yue didn't care whether Jiang Hao was telling the truth or not. Instead, she looked at the Holy Mass Divine Soul. Using the soul to nourish your technique can lead to a significant gain. "You've done a lot for me, and I won't let you go unrewarded." She left a piece of paper on the table. "Here is a method of absorption. You could try to absorb it. Once the absorption is complete, your strength will improve." "Thank you, Senior," said Jiang Hao gratefully. He had wanted to find out how to absorb the divine soul, but now he knew. The absorption shouldn't be too difficult. Hong Yue chuckled. Jiang Hao was puzzled. He got up and put away the yin-yang bracelet. "Oh, where's my flower?" Hong Yue asked on the way. "It's growing," Jiang Hao said. "Have you taken good care of it?" "I wouldn't dare to be negligent with your things, Senior." "What about the thing I asked you to find out about?" "I've got some clues. I just need to verify them." "What are you looking for?" Hong Yue asked. "Sage's pages," Jiang Hao said. Hong Yue chuckled. "So what clues did you find?" "Jinshin Cliff in the west," said Jiang Hao. "Jinshin Cliff in the west." Hong Yue was surprised. "Are you sure? I still need to verify it." Jiang Hao shook his head. "Then do it fast. In a few days, we'll need to go out," Hong Yue said. Jiang Hao was embarrassed but still nodded in agreement. He had thought about it, so it wasn't a surprise. However, he didn't know what the situation was in the west. The corpse hadn't awakened yet. It made him feel wary. Once it happened, someone would have to deal with it. He could then find out the location. Now, he could only rely on luck and information to avoid it. They returned to Jiang Hao's courtyard. Hong Yue said she wanted to take a bath, so Jiang Hao had to prepare bathwater and wait outside. During that time, he looked at the absorption method. It stated that using spirit stones could shake the divine soul of the Holy Master and facilitate rapid absorption. Spirit stones. Chapter 831. She said the same thing 800 years ago. The information about spirit stones caught Jiang Hao by surprise. In the courtyard, he used a divine ability to appraise the Holy Master's divine soul. Holy Master's divine soul, part of the Holy Master's soul. It was born under the grand blessing of the mountains and seas. The Holy Master can assimilate various fortunes and transform them into the power of mountains and seas. You can use the Great Formation to split the divine soul, which will allow you to absorb it into the Mountain Sea Seal. The process can be hastened by using spirit stones or spirit liquid. Jiang Hao furrowed his brows. The Great Formation? He didn't have such a thing. However, looking at what Hong Ye left behind, he found that there was indeed such a formation. Was this the Great Formation? Hong Ye had noted down the amount of spirit stones he would need and also the amount of spirit liquid that would be needed. But one bottle of spirit liquid cost 30 spirit stones. Jiang Hao chose to use spirit stones. He had plenty of them, so it should be enough. After that, he drew the formation in the courtyard. He placed the Holy Master's divine soul in the center and sat cross-legged on the floor. He activated the formation and then added the spirit stones. He put in one at first. The Holy Master's divine soul showed no reaction. Then he added 10 more. There was no change. He then added 100. There was still no reaction. When he finally added 1,000, there was a slight change. He added another 10,000. Something like a mist appeared. The mountain sea seal activated and the changes fused into his body. It nourished the seal. It worked. However, the change was too small right now. Jiang Hao gritted his teeth and threw in 100,000 spirit stones. Finally, he felt the overwhelming force rushing in like a stream. The mountain sea seal became more condensed. He had always sought to improve the mountain sea seal, and the changes were always so slight. However, this time, the changes were significant. If this continued, the power of the seal would be terrifying. It also had significant benefits for sealing. Jiang Hao was pleased. He felt excited to see how strong the seal would be. However, the effect suddenly stopped. Jiang Hao opened his eyes and saw that the 100,000 spirit stones had disappeared. He hesitated and threw in another 70,000 more. After that, the power returned, and an intense force surrounded him. The mountain sea seal released a formidable aura as it revolved in his palm. Every breath became stronger. He felt that he could confront the Holy Master much more easily with such a strong seal. Not long after, the surging force abruptly stopped. Jiang Hao looked at the Holy Master's divine soul. Not even 1/10 of it had been consumed. TCNT Thi Ton, Ina. This was all a total of 170,000 spirit stones had accomplished. I regret it. I should be more careful in the future. After some thought, he felt that using 170,000 spirit stones to buy high-grade spirit medicines would have yielded at least 20 or 30 blue bubbles. This was not worth it. As long as his cultivation improved, absorbing something like this wouldn't be a problem. For a moment, he felt sentimental. He should have taken the 50,000 spirit stones from senior brother Mu Chi. He checked the storage treasures he had snatched from the dead members of the Heavenly Saints sect, but he didn't find much. Did these people offer all their things to the Holy Master? Jiang Hao sighed. Finally, he took stock of how many spirit stones he had left. He only had 11,003 spirit stones. He couldn't even afford September Spring. Is it all gone? It's fortunate that I still have many treasures and pills from the corpse realm. Jiang Hao wasn't too worried. If he sold them while heading to the west, he could earn a lot of spirit stones. As for the Holy Master's divine soul, it was better to just leave it untouched. The matter with the Holy Master was temporarily solved. The only regret was that he hadn't gotten the time to appraise the one who was hidden. He speculated that they might be someone from the Great Thousand God sect. It might be Fenghua. If they met, he could confirm it. Who would have expected that Hong Yuye would appear and disrupt his plan? However, the Great Thousand God sect's intentions were unclear. Why did they want to gather the Holy Master's divine soul? What were they planning? In any case, it had little to do with them. He had to deal with the end of all things first. The Saint Bandits had gone quiet lately, and there was no need to pay too much attention to it. The fallen Immortal clan was a bit troublesome. The end of all things was the real danger. In the west, Bai Zhu sat in the noodle shop. She had been here for a long time. In fact, she came here every day. But the people inside just wouldn't talk with her about her condition. They just said they were busy. Clearly, there wasn't much business going on in the shabby noodle shop. She noticed that those 3 people often came here. Their cultivation realms were always something different. Sometimes they appeared as Golden Core Realm cultivators, and other times as primordial spirit realm cultivators. Occasionally, they even displayed lifeblood refinement realm. Getting on their bad side wouldn't go down well. "What do you want to eat today?" said the young girl from before. She looked around 17 or 18 years of age. "Whatever you recommend," said Baiju with a smile as she propped her chin on her hands. He sat quietly beside her. She felt that the people in this shop weren't as simple as they appear to be. It seemed that none of the staff or the customers were ordinary people. She hadn't seen even one non-cultivator come in for a bowl of noodles. Even ordinary cultivators didn't venture in. "We've been here for several months. When will your boss come out?" Baiju asked. "My boss is cooking noodles, so he usually doesn't come out here," said the waitress. "Your boss has to do everything himself? That must be difficult. How about this? I'm decent at cooking, so I can help him cook," said Baiju. "How can we let a guest cook?" said the waitress and laughed. Baiju shrugged. She had no choice but to wait. "Is the food that delicious here?" "I see you here every day," said one of the three usual seniors as they walked in. "I could ask the same question. If you weren't here every single day, you wouldn't have noticed us, senior," said Baiju. She didn't dare to offend these three seniors. "We decided to go to the Mountain River Valley sect to take a look. We won't be coming here anymore. I heard there are astronomical books in the academy over there," said the middle-aged man with a smile. Baiju immediately knew where Zhang was. She knew that Zhang had advanced. She had always been curious whether Zhang could survive her current predicament. She didn't plan to go meet her. Everyone in the gathering had an unspoken agreement to not compromise each other's identity. As for delivering the book, there were other ways to do it. The reason she hadn't delivered it yet was to do with Zhang's present condition. If Zhang failed, she would die. The book would have to be returned. "Here are your noodles," said the waitress as she set the bowls of noodles in front of Qiao, Yi, and Baiju. She then turned to the three seniors. "What would you like to eat?" "We aren't here to eat today. We have some questions for your boss." "Will there be a big event in the back of the West?" asked the middle-aged man. "They'll go and ask," said the waitress and hurried away. After a while, she walked out of the kitchen. "The boss said that you will meet the person you're looking for soon enough." The middle-aged man chuckled. 800 years ago, she said the same thing. She is still here, cooking her noodles and deceiving me with the same words. Do you think that's fair? Baiju was speechless. She felt that the shopkeeper of the noodle shop was someone extraordinary. "The boss said this time it's the truth," said the waitress. 1600 years ago, she said the same thing, said the middle-aged man icily. Chapter 832, Demonis. Go by yourself. The siege from the Heavenly Saint sect started and ended pretty quickly. After losing the Holy Master, the group silently withdrew. They needed to figure out what had happened. However, when they found out, they were furious. Under the towering mountains, several people engaged in heated discussion. A young man slammed the table and stood up angrily. The Heavenly Note sect is too arrogant. How can they be so blasphemous? They have tainted the Holy Master's divine soul. Did you find out who did it? An old woman asked. No, we have no information at all. Miao Tinglian is still alive. She might know, but it's unlikely she'll tell us anything, said a middle-aged man. Try to contact her and make her reveal what she knows, said a young man furiously. Such traitors should be killed. If the Holy Master can't descend because we murdered the Saintess, will you take responsibility for it? Asked the old woman. The young man lowered his head and fell silent. Let's send someone to investigate and to keep an eye on the great Thousand God sect. They are suspicious, said the old woman after a while. The group quieted down and formulated a plan. Contact Jiang Hao too. See how much he knows, the middle-aged man said. Others nodded. They began to plan further. The Heavenly Saints sect withdrew. Jiang Hao noticed it when Hong Yuya left. Yesterday, after Hong Yuya took a bath and slept, she disappeared from his balcony. He breathed a sigh of relief. He still had injuries to deal with, and it would take some time for him to recover to his peak. He also needed to prepare to head west. He had to understand the situation and decide what identity to use. Should he go as himself or as Smiling Sansheng? Or was it better to use Gu Jin's identity? Each option had its own advantages and disadvantages. Smiling Sansheng was a member of the End of All Things, so he could contact the End of All Things if needed. Gu Jin could contact the Astronomical Academy. As long as he didn't cause trouble, it would be fine. But it wasn't easy to get things done sometimes, and he didn't know how much danger the End of All Things would put him in. It was fine to use any identity as long as no one knew that Smiling Sansheng and Gu Jin were the same person. That was the risk involved. If that happened, it would be troublesome. Both those identities could be compromised. Jiang Hao sighed and headed to the Spirit Her Garden. He heard from Shaoli that someone had caused trouble here too. Later, the enemies had fled when they faced the Spirit Beast. They even claimed that the Holy Master was more powerful than the Spirit Beast. Jiang Hao didn't take that seriously until half a month later when he found out that some people from the Heavenly Saints sect were still eyeing the Spirit Herb Garden. After asking around, he found out that the angry Heavenly Saints sect members were offended because the Spirit Beast had claimed that it was more powerful and important than the Holy Master. One sentence had provoked them. The Holy Master couldn't compare to Lord Jiang Hao was stunned. Did Shaoli say that? He frowned. Indeed, it would have been better to let it go. He now had to be extra vigilant around the Spirit Herb Garden because of just one sentence. He didn't know what the fanatic disciples of the Heavenly Saints sect might do. He called the Spirit Beast and asked about the situation. They said that the Holy Master comes first, then the heavens. I could only tell them the truth. I, Lord Beast, come before the Holy Master. They seemed to believe it, said the Beast. Jiang Hao sighed wearily. If it was someone else, he wouldn't have cared. But the members of the Heavenly Saints sects were fanatics. He had to be careful. Hopefully, there won't be too many powerful fanatics appearing anytime soon. Otherwise, the Spirit Beast and Shaoli would be in serious trouble. Shaoli had the Dragon Pearl, so she might be able to handle them. However, he was concerned about the rumors of other dragons. The Clear Sky School and the Abyssal Sea both had traces of real dragons. Jiang Hao didn't think too much about it. He also found out that Miao Tinglian was safe. They didn't mention the incident at all. Everyone acted as though nothing had happened. However, people from the Heavenly Saints sect would likely focus on them. Fortunately, due to the sudden attack, the sect became much more strict than before. The law enforcement hall often took action to kill their enemies. According to Lu Xingchen, the sect found many Heavenly Saints sect spies and was now hunting them down. I also heard that the Holy Master's divine soul was killed within the Cliff of Broken Hearts, he said with a smile. What do you think about that, junior brother Jiang? It must be the sect's doing, Jiang Hao said. Lu Xingchen just smiled. Many people in the law enforcement hall think so too. Out of curiosity, we investigated a bit, but we found nothing. What a pity. Jiang Hao could only express his regret. Lu Xingchen's current condition was stable. He was refining his cultivation. The speed of his progress was incredibly fast. Jiang Hao admired him. When he first saw him, he was in the Golden Core realm, and now he had reached the Soul Ascension realm in just over 10 years. The speed of progress was unimaginable. After that, he went to the task hall. Junior brother Jiang, are you planning on going out? Asked the senior sister at the reception. Are there any missions I can take? Jiang Hao asked. Yes, I've saved some that are suitable for you, she said. She handed him a few of the available tasks. Junior brother, you can choose from these. The first task was to find a traitor in the Golden Core realm. The second was to recruit a disciple who was targeted by the Heavenly Gate sect. The third task was to visit a city where he needed to find some of the forces affiliated with the sect. All of them had a 3-month deadline. Failure to complete the task would cost him 3,500 spirit stones. WHV2, 500? Asked Jiang Hao. Because your cultivation realm is high, so the risk we bear is also higher, said the senior sister. Jiang Hao nodded. With higher cultivation, it was easier for a disciple to escape. The law enforcement hall had to bear the responsibility for it ultimately. It would be difficult and unrewarding to capture someone with a higher cultivation realm. Jiang Hao didn't rush to accept a mission. He wanted to wait for a while and think about it properly. Although his injuries were almost healed, he hadn't reached the peak yet. In the past few days, he had made some talismans and set up a stall again. There was no other choice. He had run out of spirit stones. If he went to the west without spirit stones, he would run into trouble. As for the Holy Master's divine soul, he was still absorbing it, but the absorption rate was too slow and required a long time. He had tried using spiritual energy to stimulate it, which had a slight effect, but it made too much noise. It wasn't until July that Jiang Hao felt his state had reached its peak. Hong Yuye appeared in his courtyard. "Senior, greetings." Jiang Hao bowed. "We leave tomorrow," said Hong Yuye calmly while looking at the heavenly fragrance Dao flower. Jiang Hao nodded. "Where do you plan to go there?" Hong Yuye asked. "I can go there instantly," Jiang Hao said. Guan Zhongfei had activated the golden ring, so he could teleport there. "Tomorrow at noon, then. You can set off on your own," she said. Jiang Hao was surprised. "Am I going alone? That would be even more dangerous." Chapter 833. When we meet again, I'll defeat you. Senior brother, after instructing him, Hong Yuye disappeared. She was satisfied with the heavenly fragrance Dao flower, and she didn't ask further. As long as Jiang Hao was in the courtyard, he would channel his purple energy and nourish the spirit herbs. When he left, he would leave the task of watering the plant to the spirit beast. Fortunately, being gone for a while wouldn't have much impact. He could continue to take care of the flower after he returned. As for Hong Yuye not accompanying him on the trip, it would be dangerous without her, but he would have more freedom. After that, he went to find Cheng Chou. The outer sect spirit herb garden was finally fine, and Cheng Chou wasn't very busy. After more than a decade, the outer sect spirit herb garden had finally returned to normal. "We just need to send some people over, and the people from the Candlelight Pill Pavilion will oversee it," Cheng Chou said. "Any issues with your cultivation?" Jiang Hao asked. Cheng Chou was already in his 40s. He was still diligently laying the foundation, which would aid in breaking through to the later stages of his cultivation realm. Jiang Hao often explained cultivation matters to him. After that, Cheng Chou raised some more questions, and Jiang Hao explained them more deeply. The more he advanced, the better he understood the realms. When reviewing his own cultivation realm, he opened his mind to clarity. The more he comprehended, the better he could understand. He also understood more about his own strength. The Nameless Manual mainly focused on control, so his understanding became deeper. Cheng Chou had average talent. If it were someone else, they would have already advanced to the later realms. However, he made progress, and his foundation was solid. One advantage Cheng Chou had was Jiang Hao's guidance. He could progress steadily. He knew his talent was average, so he dared not be impatient. Only by taking it one step at a time could there be hope for advancement. Perhaps he could attempt to break through to the Golden Core realm in a few decades. There was great hope within 100 years. After helping Cheng Chou, he found the Spirit Beast and Shaoli. He instructed them to keep a close eye on the Spirit Her Garden. The people from the Heavenly Saints sect had been cleared out, and the sect was also conducting strict inspections, so there should be peace for some time. Junior brother Jiang, Sister Miao, walked over to him with a smile. She had returned to normal. There were no issues with her cultivation either. Jiang Hao politely greeted her. "My health has improved lately, so I visited other branches. Can you guess what I saw?" Miao Tinglian said mysteriously. "What?" Jiang Hao asked. "Take a look." It's quite astonishing. Miao Tinglian took out a scroll. "Open and see." Jiang Hao opened the scroll carefully. He saw a portrait of a beautiful and elegant woman. She had delicate features and innocent eyes. Beautiful, right? And she is very obedient and nice. Although her talent was a bit lacking, she actually is very gifted. She's a good match for you. As long as you agree, they'll help you, Miao Tinglian said triumphantly. Jiang Hao was speechless. "Do you have nothing to do all day?" Jiang Hao felt that it had been more peaceful when she was ill. He sighed and shook his head. "Thank you so much, Senior Sister Miao, for your kind intentions, but I am just going to focus on my cultivation." Miao Tinglian nodded. "Do you like feisty ones instead?" "I agree that innocence can be boring. I guess you would like it if she looked demure but was feisty secretly." She could then fulfill all your fantasies. Jiang Hao immediately looked around and found senior brother Mu Qi. He walked straight toward him. He hoped Mu Qi would take her away. For a moment, he felt like senior sister Miao was repaying his kindness with hostility. He could have been swayed by her persuasion if he was a usual cultivator, but it was impossible for him to even think about it. The next day, Jiang Hao went to the task hall to accept the task of recruiting the disciple. When he returned to the Cliff of Broken Hearts, he saw Han Ming. It seemed he was just coming out of seclusion. Jiang Hao felt a sword's intent from him. It was there before, but it wasn't as sharp. Moreover, he was not far from the middle stage of the Golden Core realm, which surprised him. Junior brother Han was indeed talented. To be so near the middle stage of the Golden Core realm at just 37 was truly remarkable. Han Ming, who had been somewhat naive in the past, now had a restrained brilliance, and the sword intent circulated around him. He had become much more mature. Junior brother Han, are you here to find me? Jiang Hao asked. I want to challenge you, senior brother Jiang. I am confident this time I can give you a good fight, Han Ming said confidently. Jiang Hao smiled. All right, the usual place? After that, the two went to an open meadow near Jiang Hao's courtyard. At that moment, Han Ming released his sword intent, and thunder roared around him. A powerful and chilling sword intent swept in all directions. Senior brother Jiang, be careful. Han Ming disappeared. Junior brother Han turned into a sword intent. It was astonishing. The half-moon blade appeared in Jiang Hao's hands. His blade's intent manifested, and the demonic sound slash resonated. Clang! Jiang Hao stood still, while Han Ming's sword fell to the ground. Junior brother Han, you are truly outstanding, Jiang Hao said as he turned around. Han Ming lowered his head, picked up his sword, bowed, and left. I now understand your strength, senior brother Jiang. The next time we meet will be the day I defeat you. You can carry on hiding in the Spirit Her Garden till then, said Han Ming. Jiang Hao smiled softly. He knew that Han Ming was sulking. Shaking his head, he returned to the courtyard and checked the golden rings. After that, he disappeared from the spot. It was July right now. He had to return to the sect by October. In the western region, in the Divine Rotation sect, a figure appeared in the cave. Jiang Hao arrived and began to observe his surroundings. It was a secret chamber with a simple cultivation platform on the ground and nothing else. With a wave of his hand, the golden ring flew up from the ground and returned his wrist. Guan Zhongfei was a disciple of the Divine Rotation sect, and this place seemed isolated. It was most likely an inner area of the sect. Jiang Hao planned to go outside. It would be even better if he could meet Guan Zhongfei and retract the Mountain Sea seal. He could then let Guan Zhongfei know that the matter was resolved. However, as he was about to leave the secret chamber, he suddenly felt a warmth in his chest. Something in his chest burned slowly. When it burned completely, a red figure appeared beside him. It was Hong Yuye. Jiang Hao was surprised. Senior, I thought you weren't coming? Not coming. Hong Yuye looked at Jiang Hao icily. What did I say to make you think that? Jiang Hao was puzzled. He thought about it and realized that she had never said she wasn't coming. He had misunderstood. You think I shouldn't have come? Hong Yuye's eyes were icy. No, I was just a bit surprised. I really hope you would come, Senior, said Jiang Hao. Hong Yuye chuckled and walked toward the exit. Jiang Hao followed. Hong Yuye's arrival put a stop to some of his plans, but it also made things safer. Powerful individuals could be unpredictable. Chapter 834, Demonis, Fear Emir Golden Core Realm Cultivator. Among the mountains, there were numerous caves. The mountain was covered with steep and rugged cliffs. At that moment, a red figure emerged, followed by a man. They stood on the edge of a cliff, overlooking the rushing river below. This place is nice, said Hong Yuye as she looked down. Jiang Hao nodded in agreement. Having spent many years by the Cliff of Broken Hearts, he found the cliffs beautiful. The people from the Divine Rotation sect sure knew how to pick their locations. They had built many cave dwellings here. However, he didn't think he would like to live here. Without an open courtyard, It was challenging to cultivate spiritual herbs unless there was an open area nearby. There should be one, but he still didn't like it here. Perhaps it was beautiful, but it didn't suit him. Hong Ye stood in place for a long time, which surprised Jiang Hao. He didn't understand what she had in mind. When he looked over at her, he found that she was also looking at him. He understood. As always, everything was up to him from here on out. So where should he go? Logically, he should head to Jinshin Cliff. But he was uncertain of where it was. He needed to ask around and find out where Sea Sky Forest was. For now, it would be better to avoid that place. After that, he flew down to the river surface. He followed the river outward. He didn't know how to get out. He could only choose to fly close to the water surface on his sword. Flying too high would attract too much attention. "What's your cultivation realm?" Hong Yu suddenly asked. Almost at the late stage of the Golden Core realm, Jiang Hao said, "You're already at the Golden Core realm? Flying boldly in the sky like this, won't people suspect that you aren't from here?" asked Hong Yu. Jiang Hao thought about it and realized that it made sense. As long as he stayed away from forbidden areas, no one would suspect him. If he appeared more open and confident, the less suspicious others would be. Flying down like this was definitely not a good idea. He needed to find a place to ask around. After that, Jiang Hao changed direction and headed toward a place where there were some people. He looked at their attire. If they couldn't find a sect uniform, he would have to use the Thousand Faces treasure fan. Fortunately, it wasn't necessary. After a short while, he saw a Foundation Establishment Realm cultivator and walked over to them. The man looked to be in his early 20s. He looked like an ordinary and honest person, with a faint spiritual aura surrounding him. He seemed quite talented. "Hello, junior brother," said Jiang Hao as he approached him and let his golden core aura spread around him. The young man bowed his head respectfully. "Greetings, seniors. We've been in seclusion for too long and forgot the way out. Can you show us the way, junior brother?" Jiang Hao said calmly. The man was a bit puzzled, but dared not ask further. He quickly said, "I'll lead the way for you, seniors. Please follow me." Then, the three of them flew on their swords. Along the way, they met some seniors, and the young man occasionally stopped to greet them. Jiang Hao followed suit. With someone leading the way, no one would ask them why they were there. No one would pay attention to them. Even some seniors didn't give them more than a passing glance. However, halfway through, a group of people suddenly blocked their way. Jiang Hao thought he had been discovered, but these people looked at the young man leading them. "Mo Jian, this time you can't escape. You dared to snatch our things. Do you have a death wish?" said a furious young man. At that moment, a Golden Core Realm cultivator walked out of the group. He glanced at Jiang Hao. "Middle stage Golden Core Realm Jr.? I suggest you don't meddle in our affairs." He walked toward Mo Jian. Mo Jian looked at Jiang Hao and hesitated for a moment. He then handed him a jade slip. "Senior brother, if you want it, I can give it to you." Jiang Hao glanced briefly at it and found that it contained a method for refining the body. It was called the Ancient Sea of Stars Body Technique. The name itself sounded profound. Jiang Hao felt that many things were happening in these sections. Stealing someone's stuff was common in sections. The others glanced at him as if to tell him to hand it back. Jiang Hao lowered his head. Then he released his primordial spirit realm aura. Before they could speak, he suppressed everyone. The people were frightened. Jiang Hao looked at Mo Jian. "Continue leading the way." The latter was terrified. He never expected that this senior would be so formidable. After a while, Jiang Hao successfully left the Divine Rotation sect. "Senior brother, this is the place," Mo Jian said respectfully. Jiang Hao returned the jade slip to him. "If fate allows, we'll meet again." Then, he and Hong Ye flew away on their swords. Mo Jian was confused and grateful. He no longer had to deal with trouble because, in the eyes of others, the senior had taken the jade slip. It was unlikely those people would seek revenge. The senior was too powerful. It was beyond their capability to provoke him. On the western edge of the sea, an old man walked along the road and looked ahead nostalgically. "It's been many years since I've been here. I never thought I would come here for this purpose." "Greetings, senior." A man and a woman appeared in the distance. Both had reached the immortal ascension platform. They were the ones assigned to guide the old senior. The information given by the end of all things is very accurate. You came as soon as I set foot on land, said the old man with a smile. You jest, senior. It's not that we have accurate information. It's just that there are many people among us. We didn't know about your arrival. We were stationed on various coastlines, so we could see you and are willing to help you, said the young man. The old man laughed. Your words saved your lives. The two breathed a sigh of relief. Your cultivation is not bad. Will you serve as my followers? Would that be too much for you? The old man asked. It would be our honor, both of them said. The old man walked forward. I will only help you attract the waters of the corpse sea. I won't interfere in anything else. Yes, that'll be enough for us, the man said. The old man walked slowly, but he covered the distance surprisingly fast. It was a bit difficult for the two people who followed him. If it were someone with a weaker cultivation realm, they would have lost track of him long ago. Suddenly, the old man asked, Do outsiders know about your plan? They don't, and those who do would never spread the information. So, nothing will come in your way, senior, said the young man. Is that so? The old man chuckled. I heard that many members of the end of all things have banded together to seize the sage's pages. There is indeed such a rumor, but our main focus is on the corpse. We know very little about the pages. If you want to know more, we can ask around for you, senior, the young man said. The old man didn't say anything. He was in deep thought. Do you know anyone from among the people who went to the corpse realm to see me? We know a few, especially smiling Sansheng, the one who got to ask you 10 questions. We're familiar with him, said the young man. Is he also in the West? We don't have information about him right now, but if the sage's pages have appeared here, he'll come too. I'd like to meet him again. Chapter 835, Demonis. Do you want to try the power of the one-heart palm? The southern region, inside an inn, Shangguan Qingsu looked at the envelope in her hand and felt surprised. Feng Hua went to hunt and kill the incarnation of the Holy Master's divine soul, but he died. The divine Master's divine soul was obtained by someone else. She was puzzled. Not only did she fail to obtain the Holy Master's divine soul, but she also unexpectedly encountered Feng Hua's avatar. Moreover, they had no idea who did it, and even the Heavenly Saint sect was unaware of what had happened. If the Holy Master's divine soul was missing, it seems that those above will take some action. Shangguan Qingsu sighed. That means many powerful individuals will be coming to the south. I just left, and now I have to run again. Feng Hua must be concerned too. Most of the people from the Great Thousand God sect took on tasks from others and worked in various places. However, the Great Thousand God sect sometimes handled its own affairs. This included collecting the Holy Master's divine soul and observing them. Wherever there was a fragment of the Holy Master's divine soul, people for the Great Thousand God sect would usually be there. She didn't know the exact situation, but the disappearance of the divine soul was a first-time occurrence. In the past, they would have some information about it. This time, everything was unclear. However, with extra sanuses present, they could still find it. I wonder where smiling Sansheng is. Shangguan Qingsu sighed. She had been searching for him in the south for a long time, but there was still no news of him. But there was news of him appearing at the place where the Holy Master had appeared. He'll go to the Black Heaven sect first. She knew that the Thousand Faces treasure fan had been in the Black Heaven sect, so she could go there to ask. Her main purpose this time was to find smiling Sansheng. Since the last time the curse had manifested, it hadn't hurt much. However, she lived in constant fear of it. In the west, Jiang Hao flew for a long time before he saw a city. He bought a map. The Sea-Sky Forest was approximately in the west, and he was currently in the southern area of the western region. He was closer to the Astronomical Academy. Although there might be many powerful people there was an advantage. He could sell the items he had on him. With many powerful people there, the market would be booming to serve them. Some people might be looking for a powerful treasure. Although the danger was inevitable, he still had to try. Jiang Hao felt that it might be relatively safe there. However, it might also bring unnecessary troubles. After some hesitation, he decided to go to a city near the Astronomical Academy. There is also an ancient city there, mostly inhabited by ordinary people. He could go there when he had time. It was said that there were holy sage statues in the city. These statues were extraordinary and possessed the power to pierce the heavens and the earth. However, no one had ever seen them with their own eyes. Jiang Hao wanted to explore the place. Senior, have you heard of the ancient city? It is said that there are many ancient things inside. Do you want to take a look? Hong Yuye asked softly. I have never been to the West before. I'm a bit curious about some wonders in the West, Jiang Hao said. Hong Yuye chuckled. Your curiosity will get you in trouble. The more I know, the better I can help you with your tasks, Senior, said Jiang Hao. Hong Yuye looked ahead. Jiang Hao flew on his sword using the light and dust technique. Their figures seemed to disappear under the sun and advanced at impossible speed. Several days later, Jiang Hao and Hong Yuye finally stepped into a large city. They felt a vast and boundless aura, like an endless ocean, suppressing them. It was difficult even to move. What is this thing? Jiang Hao looked up in amazement. The vast array, Hong Yuye said. Jiang Hao nodded. Such an array made it difficult for him to resist the effect. This city was indeed not simple. The vast and boundless aura immobilized him. However, it shouldn't be easy for the vast array to target only him. Moreover, if he wanted to leave, he could. He had buried the golden ring in an isolated place. If needed, he could activate it and escape. The first thing to do after entering the city was to find an inn for Hong Yuye. After that, he could go and explore. He found an ordinary inn and spent spirit stones to book 2 rooms adjacent to each other. Senior, the tea is ready. Jiang Hao placed the teapot aside. Hong Yuye nodded and waved at him. Jiang Hao felt uneasy but dared not approach her. When he cautiously walked to her, she placed her hand on his chest. He felt a slight burn. When she took her hand away, he saw an imprint on his chest. It was an imprint of the one-heart palm. Hong Yuye finally sat down. Have you tried to study the one-heart palm? I have little understanding of it, he said. In fact, he should have studied it a long time ago. However, he had no one to test it on. He didn't dare to test it out on Hong Yuye. The palm technique didn't work on other objects or things. Do you want to try it? Hong Yuye suddenly asked. Jiang Hao lowered his head in fear. He was afraid to answer. He didn't want to try to understand how it worked or if he could do it. However, whenever he thought he had to leave an imprint on the other person's chest, his heart raced. All kinds of things popped up in his head, so he stopped thinking about it entirely. He couldn't use the one-heart palm freely. After all, tiny place near any nad to leave tiny imprint sounded very intimate. Even if Hong Yuye allowed it, he didn't think he could do it. Go and ask around for the ancient pages, said Hong Yuye. Jiang Hao left the room. It was his first time in the West, and he didn't know whom to ask. But every place had a common goal. With enough spirit stones, he could get any information. This was a city of cultivators. He found a treasure pavilion. Judging from its scale, it was one of the best in the city. Jiang Hao entered and asked the woman at the reception if they bought treasures. She glanced at Jiang Hao. Friend, what do you want to sell? Jiang Hao took out a soul ascension realm treasure. The woman glanced at it. She appeared a little surprised. Please follow me, she said. Jiang Hao followed her inside. He felt that the city was very posh. A treasure at the Soul Ascension realm didn't seem to raise eyebrows. Even Return to Void realm was considered just normal, while a Mortal Ascension platform was a little special. Jiang Hao saw a middle-aged man on the 3rd floor. The woman whispered a few words to him and then left. Jiang Hao waited for a while before he was offered a seat. Friend, are you here to sell treasures? Can I take a look? Asked the middle-aged man. Jiang Hao nodded and took out a Soul Ascension realm spirit sword. The middle-aged man looked at the spirit sword and frowned. May I ask how you obtained the Divine Rotation Sex Frozen Spirit Sword? I just picked it up somewhere, said Jiang Hao with a friendly smile. Chapter 836. inhumane executioners picked up? The middle-aged man frowned. Then, he placed the sword on the table. Young friend, you may not be aware of the seriousness of the matter. While the quality of this sword is indeed outstanding, its origin is remarkable. Once certain individuals from the divine rotation sect find out, they will undoubtedly cause trouble. It's a miracle that you're still alive. For many, you'll just be a commodity to be sold for the amount of bounty over your head. Jiang Hao wasn't surprised. He had walked in here, so he wasn't afraid. No matter what happened here, it had nothing to do with Jiang Hao in the southern region. No one could find him. Senior, do you mean to say that an innocent man will be killed for just carrying a treasure? Asked Jiang Hao. It's good that you get it, the middle-aged man said seriously. Keeping such a thing will lead to danger, especially for someone like you in the Golden Core realm like yourself. What price would you offer for this, senior? Jiang Hao asked. After thinking for a moment, the man said, since you claim to have picked it up, he'll give you 10,000 spirit stones for it. How about it? A good Golden Core realm treasure would fetch more than that, and this was a Soul Ascension realm treasure. Greed is dangerous. If we don't take this treasure, no one else here will, said the man. Jiang Hao was surprised. He hadn't used his cultivation to pressure him. Then, he began to negotiate. In the end, they settled on a deal of 48,000 spirit stones. Jiang Hao felt that the price of this particular treasure was more than that. However, the buyer hadn't tried to intimidate him by using his superior cultivation realm, so Jiang Hao hadn't used his own cultivation to threaten him either. Besides, if what the man said was true, keeping the treasure would be troublesome. He learned that many powerful figures had gone to the Mountain River Valley sect, based on hearsay. If it weren't for the people from the Astronomical Academy and their astronomical scroll, Dole would have been dead by now. Jiang Hao couldn't help but admire Zhang from the Astronomical Academy, stepping in and dragging the whole sect to protect one person. Her move was bold and extraordinary. It also meant that the ancient and modern book was very important to her. It also showed that the sects in the West took the matter of their dead disciples very seriously. He wanted to sell other treasures in the West, so he had to be more careful. It didn't matter if he earned less. He needed to stay safe. If it were in the East, there would be no danger because no one would recognize the treasures he had, and he could sell them at the usual market price. Do you have anything else, young friend? The middle-aged man asked with a smile. It seemed that the middle-aged man was satisfied with the transaction. Jiang Hao brought out another treasure. It was a golden wheel this time. Whether it was a treasure from the west or the north was unclear. The middle-aged man's smile froze on his face. Did you also pick this up somewhere? Yes. Jiang Hao nodded. We can't accept this one. This treasure belongs to Granny Kufa. She made it for her grandson. The imprint inside can't be erased. She might likely have already sensed it the moment you took it. She'll probably come looking for it, said the man. How powerful is she? Jiang Hao was curious. It said that she's at the Immortal Ascension platform. Her cultivation realm isn't what you should fear. She's difficult to deal with, said the middle-aged man with a sigh. She is someone with the power of curses. Offending her means getting cursed. Your body will deteriorate, and inner demons will be born. It'll be inevitable. Whether it is me as a buyer or a smith melting it down, no one can escape her curse. So, no one here might accept this. Jiang Hao nodded. Thank you for informing me. What about these items? After putting away the golden wheel, Jiang Hao brought out primordial spirit and golden core treasures. This senior was reasonable, so he didn't need to find other buyers. The middle-aged man was stunned. He thought for a while, and then looked at Jiang Hao and smiled. Did you pick these up along the way too, friend? Senior, you have sharp eyes. Jiang Hao smiled and nodded. The middle-aged man checked them one by one. The ones he recognized were the ones some people had been asking around lately. The reason he recognized the treasures wasn't because he had sharp eyes, but because many people had been asking for them lately. There had been a list of treasures being passed in the West. These treasures were all marked. It was done so that the treasure could be identified and returned to the owners. This young man claimed he had picked these treasures up somewhere. Was that really true? The buyer had heard about the matters in the corpse realm. He looked at Jiang Hao nervously. It was no wonder he hadn't been shocked when he heard about Granny Kufa. The middle-aged man had thought this person didn't know who she was, so he didn't know what she was capable of. However, now he understood that this person didn't really fear anyone. Can you give me an estimate of the value? If you can't, then you could just keep it, said Jiang Hao. Sure, no problem. The middle-aged man immediately called over the woman from before. Prepare the best tea for this senior. Senior? She was puzzled, but went to make the tea. Jiang Hao didn't mind. Senior, you were really polite. In fact, this tea is quite good. By the way, do you happen to have September Spring here? We do. Even if we don't sell it, we could prepare some for you. However, the season is almost over. In the following years, it will be difficult to buy September Spring, and the price may also rise, the middle-aged man said. By the way, I'm Wei Chuanda. Nice to meet you, Senior Wei, said Jiang Hao. You can call me whatever you want. You can just address me as a friend. Wei Chuanda smiled. Sure, friend. After that, he examined the treasures. Altogether, I can offer 260,000 spirit stones for all of these. It's not that we don't want to offer you more, but these items will bring trouble for us. Adding the previous 48,000 spirit stones, I can increase it to 310,000 spirit stones. Jiang Hao nodded. This had already exceeded his expectations. In his opinion, someone would always try to lower the price to around 100 or 200,000. If that happened, he would intimidate them. After all, they were all items he had picked up. No problem, Jiang Hao nodded. Since these were things he didn't need, there was no harm in keeping them, but exchanging them for spirit stones would help improve his cultivation. Be careful with Granny Kufa. She might already know about you, said Wei Chuanda. Jiang Hao nodded without saying much. He was not afraid of curses. Meanwhile, an old woman who had been waiting for an opportunity in the Mountain River Valley sect suddenly looked back. Her eyebrows furrowed. She then looked delighted. I didn't expect it to be taken out so openly. I'll avenge you, my grandson. I'll kill your inhumane executioner, even if I have to risk my life. Chapter 837. Facing Granny Kufa, he had earned a lot of spirit stones again. Combined with what he already had, there were over 320,000 spirit stones. For a moment, the spirit stones surpassed all he had before. He felt very wealthy. If he didn't use them to digest the divine soul of the Holy Master, he would have enough to buy tea or help plant high-grade spirit herbs. Senior, your tea is here, said Wei Chuanda. The one who brought the tea leaves was the woman from before. She saw that Senior Wei was so respectful toward this person and was somewhat shocked. She didn't understand what kind of person this was who demanded such respect. Is the season of September Spring almost over? Jiang Hao curiously asked. He didn't really understand when the right season was for the tea. Yes, the September Spring has to grow again. It takes 30 years for it to sprout and 30 more years for it to mature. It takes another 30 years to prepare the tea leaves and another 10 years for it to appear on the market. Only after that, it is sold. It is said that there are only 81 batches in total. Theoretically, it is only sold for 81 years, with a 19-year gap. However, there will always be some places which will sell it. The last 10 years are a blank period. No one can get it anywhere, Wei Chuanda said. Is it difficult to grow? Jiang Hao asked curiously. It's not so difficult to grow, but obtaining the seeds is very difficult, Wei Chuanda said. How did they manage to cover all 4 territories if it's so difficult? Jiang Hao asked. It's easier if you know someone who grows September Spring. Do you know anyone like that? They're said to be back by the end of all things. Senior, you might know about them. Jiang Hao nodded. He never expected that September Spring actually came from the end of all things. With such resources, why bother destroying the world? He then remembered the Chaos Stone Island. Not everyone felt the same, even if they were in the end of all things. They seemed to have different roles and opinions. Some people changed their minds when they had the means to survive and felt like life was worth living. Some people from the end of all things were poor and resentful. Those who were poor felt that life was actually worth something once they had the means to survive, while those with hatred just wanted revenge, even if it meant watching the world burn. As for the core members of the end of all things, they just wanted to end everything. But one thing couldn't be ignored. The end of all things was involved in everything. Many people had already been pulled into it. Now it's the 9th year of the 19 years, he said. Almost. It will be difficult to buy it in the next 10 years, Wei Chuanda said. How much do you have? Jiang Hao asked. Since it's not easy to buy in the future, it was better to buy more right now. Fortunately, he didn't use it much, and 10 years would pass by quickly. There's probably 1 box left. It has 10 packets inside in total, Wei Chuanda said. What about red azure tea? Jiang Hao asked. Red azure tea is temporarily unavailable. It only appears once a year, but most of it has been booked. BV some seniors, Wei Chuanda said. Jiang Hao was in disbelief. In such a city, it was not easy to buy these things. Would someone spend 200,000 to buy a box of tea? Jiang Hao hesitated as he looked at the tea leaves. His hard-earned spirit stones were diminishing quite quickly. After thinking for a moment, he finally chose to buy 5 packs of it. He spent 100,000 on it. He only had 220,000 spirit stones left. Senior Wei, do you know about the ancient city? Jiang Hao asked after receiving the tea leaves. The ancient city of the Astronomical Academy? Wei Chuanda asked. Jiang Hao walked to the window and pointed. That ancient city over there. That's the ancient city of the Astronomical Academy. It is said to be the former site of the Astronomical Academy. Later, for some reason, the Astronomical Academy was relocated to its current location. Some statues were left behind. It was later renamed the Ancient City, Wei Chuanda said. Relocated? Jiang Hao was surprised. Yes. It is said that the academy moved overnight. Everyone was shocked. Some big sects asked about it, but none of them could even enter the main gate, Wei Chuanda said. Jiang Hao nodded. They saw black clouds in the distance. Wei Chuanda was surprised. Cursed clouds. Senior, Granny Kufa's people are here. So soon. Jiang Hao was surprised. It might be her avatar, said Wei Chuanda. He looked anxious, as if he wanted Jiang Hao to leave quickly. That way, he wouldn't be dragged into a kerfuffle. Jiang Hao didn't want to linger. He wanted to see the cursed black clouds. But he had to be careful. Once it was known he was the one who had killed all those people, the other sects would converge to kill him. He couldn't use the identity of smiling San Sheng if that happened. He wondered if he should pose as Gu Jin. What kind of person was Gu Jin? He was probably proud and unmatched. But using this name would bring a lot of trouble too. After a moment of hesitation, Jiang Hao stopped thinking about it. He decided to be Gu Jin for the moment. Hopefully, he won't anger the Astronomical Academy. He took a step and disappeared. He blended in with the light and became one with the dust. Wei Chuanda narrowed his eyes. He had seen some tricks in Jiang Hao's technique. Is he from the Astronomical Academy? He was surprised to see that the Astronomical Academy was getting involved in the matter. Many people found Dole's situation strange. The fact that people from the Astronomical Academy would go to such lengths to protect someone was surprising. The person currently selling treasures was from the Astronomical Academy too. It was unbelievable. However, everyone knew the culprit was smiling San Sheng. This person clearly wasn't from the Astronomical Academy. Or perhaps the people from the Astronomical Academy had already found smiling San Sheng and made a deal with him. That was possible. In the ancient city, Baizhu ate her noodles and looked out of the noodle shop. It's the same cultivator, said Baizhu excitedly. I wonder how strong that person is. What do you mean, princess? Qiao Yi asked curiously. Let's go out and take a look, Baizhu said with a smile. The two walked out to the street and saw a dark cloud in the distance. It doesn't seem too strong, just passable. I wonder who it is, said Baizhu. It's Granny Kufa, a middle-aged man said. Granny Kufa? Baizhu looked puzzled. The other person was dressed as a scholar. Baizhu was at the Golden Core realm. Senior, can you elaborate? Granny Kufa may not have extremely high cultivation, but her curses are outstanding, the middle-aged man said. Curses? Baizhu looked at the black cloud in disbelief. That should be her avatar. She has a peculiar treasure with powerful curses. Once it locks onto someone, it can unleash various potent curses. the caster can avoid the backlash. Moreover, the curses will be enhanced several times over, the middle-aged man said. Baiju found it unbelievable. What kind of treasure was this? And why was this person making such a big fuss? It's a bit far. I can't see anything over there. Baiju felt regretful. She wanted to go and take a look, but had to stay back. The young waitress and the shopkeeper reminded her not to leave the ancient city until Granny Kufa was done with whatever she was doing. Although she didn't know why, Baiju was willing to listen to them to avoid danger. Chapter 838. Let's go and see the corpse of Dark Cloud swept in from outside the city. The person might not appear directly to kill. After all, there was a protective aura around the city, and entering it recklessly would be dangerous. So, Jiang Hao flew to the outside to let his enemy find him. He appeared in front of the Dark Cloud. The opponent seemed somewhat surprised. At that moment, a young woman stared fiercely from out of the Dark Cloud. She looked as though she wanted to tear him apart. The power of curses swept out like a hurricane. "You murderer!" she roared. "Why did you kill my grandson?" Who's your grandson?" Jiang Hao asked. Ping Jiang. "He was special," said the woman. Jiang Hao shook his head. "Sorry, I don't know him. His golden wheel is in your hands." "Isn't that true?" "I bought it." "No, you killed him. You'll pay with your life." Jiang Hao was quite helpless. This person was truly mad. At that moment, the Dark Cloud rolled in. Jiang Hao didn't bring out the heavenly fate misfortune pearl, but he attempted to blast the person out of the dark clouds. He could then look for the main body. He raised his hand slightly and activated the mountain sea seal. At that moment, it seemed as if a mountain and sea condensed in the void. Suddenly, the mountain sea seal pressed down. The woman seemed to be in a bit of a daze. She felt the power of the curse being suppressed, and then the mountain sea seal touched her. Bang! The curse shattered, and the dark cloud disintegrated. The force of the mountains and seas rushed toward her. That vast momentum had the power to shatter the earth. It had a huge impact on her body and soul. Boom! In an instant, the mountain sea seal covered her. It crushed her body and extinguished her divine soul. In an instant, the dark cloud and the woman disappeared together. The curse vanished. Jiang Hao stood still and felt the changes in the mountain sea seal. The strike had been twice more powerful than before. He thought of 220,000 spiritual stones that he had. If he absorbed some more, would the power be even greater? He flew back to the city and wondered if the seal could become as formidable as the heavenly blade. If it could, then he would put aside the matter of growing spearheart for now. He didn't have the seeds anyway, but I didn't have a chance to ask about her main body. Such a pity. I don't know when she will come back. Jiang Hao was a bit disappointed. The avatar wasn't very strong, but the main body would probably bring more trouble. But it was just a curse. It had no effect on him. Suddenly, he thought of a possibility. The opponent used the golden wheel to lock onto him. If he placed the golden wheel together with the heavenly fate misfortune pearl, could she lock on a misfortune pearl instead? Logically, it shouldn't work. It was impossible to lay a curse on the heavenly fate misfortune pearl unless the caster was remarkable. If not, they would just end up dead. Only those with sufficient strength could try to peek at the pearl and meet their demise. Wei Chuanda had been paying attention to the dark cloud. He wanted to see if that senior could withstand the attack. However, before he could even pay close attention to it, the clouds disappeared. The avatar of Granny Kufa disappeared. He was shocked. That senior was more powerful than he had expected. In the ancient city, Baiju watched as the power of the curse disappeared suddenly. This amazed her. It was shattered by a great force. Who was that person? What kind of technique was that? Baiju was confused. Later, she returned to the noodle shop to continue eating her noodles. The waitress stared outside in a daze. "What's wrong?" Baiju asked. The waitress snapped back to reality. "Just now, the boss came out and said that the aura of the academy is changing and the convergence of ancient and modern times may really be happening." What is the convergence of ancient and modern times? Baiju was quite curious. The waitress shook her head. She didn't know much about it. Baiju didn't care and just told Xiao Yi to eat more noodles. Aren't you worried, princess? Xiao Yi asked. Worried about what? Baiju asked. The convergence of ancient and modern times doesn't sound simple. Just my luck. I'm a person facing a crisis right now. What's one more calamity? Eat your noodles. Jiang Hao returned to the city and asked around about Yin Pingjiang. He had learned the name of Granny Kufa's grandson. He wasn't a good person. He was arrogant and always bullied those with weaker cultivation realms. He was the kind of person who wanted everything he set his eyes on. If he couldn't get it, he asked his grandma to curse them. People who didn't have much influence and weren't strong enough were terrified of him. Moreover, Yin Pingjiang acted like he was better than everyone. He wanted everyone to bow to him. He had killed entire families of people who offended him. Jiang Hao asked around and found that everyone gave him similar responses about him. He sighed. He didn't know how or when he had killed this person. However, Granny Kufa had been talking nonsense. She had said her grandson was special and obedient. Her grandson was the scum of the earth. Next time they meet, he would have to remind her of it. Back at the inn, Jiang Hao studied the mountain sea seal. The power of the mountain sea seal was not this strong before. With the support of the great power, the mountain sea seal almost had the power of something at the immortal ascension platform. But compared to other magical artifacts, it was still somewhat weaker. In terms of sealing something, it was unmatched by other magical techniques. He had rarely used the mountain sea seal for attacks. He wondered how effective it would be if he used it with a heavenly blade. With that idea in mind, he began his research. At the Astronomical Academy, a middle-aged man and a woman sat in a pavilion and exchanged some information. Have you investigated the matter of the corpse? The middle-aged man, Li Sanyuan, asked. He had a beard, and he looked frail. Yes, there is indeed talk of a corpse. It's of the ancient king of the corpse clan, the woman, Kong Ying, said. Li Sanyuan frowned. Is there a possibility of it awakening? In theory, no, but from information we received, they used water from the corpse sea in the corpse realm. So, it's uncertain, she said. The end of all things is indeed good at this. Since they attempted something like that, they might have found a way, Li Sanyuan said. Have you tracked their location? Yes, but they are not core people of that organization, Kong Ying said. I had someone investigate the old man corpse C2. However, there is no clear information about him. If anyone wants water from the corpse sea, you can't do it without this person. We just need to stop him. Because of the Earth Extreme Silent Pearl, we don't have many people here. Mr. Jing and the others are outside, but I don't know if they will encounter Old Man Corpse C. Li Sanyuan sighed helplessly. I have sent someone to check. If there is any information, it will reach us as soon as possible, Kong Ying said. As soon as she finished speaking, she received some news, and her brows furrowed. The person who was supposed to investigate seems to have disappeared. Li Sanyuan stood up. Let's go. Let's check out together. Leave a note for the master, so he knows what we are doing. Chapter 839. Senior, are you hungry? The sea sky forest was filled with trees. The forest covered 3 mountain ranges and 6 large mountains. Within, there were natural forces at play, and it made even powerful cultivators tread lightly. Finding someone inside was a daunting task. After a few days, Li Sanyuan and Kong Ying successfully arrived. The forest appeared no different from an ordinary one. It was tranquil and unremarkable. Only when someone entered it could they sense the danger there. As they approached, someone appeared by their side. Senior Li, Senior Kong, they said in greeting. What's the situation now? Li Sanyuan asked. I'm not sure. All I know is that there's indeed an area inside. Junior Sheng went in, but never came out. We tried various communication methods, but couldn't reach him. Later, Senior Lu went in and also disappeared, the young man said. Lead the way, Li Sanyuan said. As they looked at their surroundings, there was no sign of the boundary of the corpse sea. There was still time. The 3 proceeded inside. After a short while, they came upon a small hill. A formation lit up. Trying to challenge, It would be like provoking the entire sea-sky forest. It's indeed unusual. Li Sanyuan frowned. Then he instructed the academy disciples. The two of us will go in first. You stay outside and observe. If anything happens, seek the academy's help. Mr. Jing is not here. Try to find him if you can. After giving the orders, Li Sanyuan and Kong Ying entered the formation together. In their opinion, even if they were outmatched, the formation should not affect them. However, upon entering, they encountered a surging, colossal wave. It radiated rot and decay. In shock, they exerted their power to repel the seawater. Afterward, rising into the air, they saw that an endless sea had covered the entire sea-sky forest. When did this happen? Li Sanyuan was astonished. We must leave immediately. However, two figures emerged from the void. They looked somewhat old. Their eyes radiated decay. Corpse extinction elders, Li Sanyuan furrowed his brow. You're still alive? The Astronomical Academy is still standing. How can we die? This time, you can't leave. We have invested a lot of effort, and there is no chance of failure, said the corpse extinction elder. I will hold them off. Li Sanyuan glanced at Kong Ying. The latter didn't hesitate and began to flee. Boom! A fierce battle erupted. No matter how they fought, they couldn't stop the corpse sea from covering everything around them. The sea-sky forest had become the corpse sea forest. Jianghao had been experimenting for several days and finally made some progress. The mountain sea seal enhanced sealing techniques, such as the universe in a palm. It was much stronger than before. There were also various enhancements for magical treasures, especially the immortal mountain sea shield, which had its defensive power increased. The 7 forms of Heavenly Blade each were enhanced in different ways, except the 3rd and 4th forms. The first form, Moon Slaying, was enhanced slightly. The remaining were Inquiry and Mountain Suppression. The Inquiry technique had quite a few enhancements, given the overwhelming advantage of the Mountain Sea Seal. The Mountain Suppression technique was enhanced only slightly. The original technique that had the pressure of 100 mountains now encompassed the grandeur of the seal. The strength of that technique had increased by more than 30%. It was incredible. He threw in another 120,000 spirit stones. At that moment, it felt as if there were 2 strands of the Mountain Sea Seal within the original Mountain Sea Seal. His strength had begun to approach an ordinary Immortal Ascension platform cultivator. Now, with only 100,000 spirit stones left, he dared not spend them recklessly. He felt something strange. Despite being so wealthy, he hesitated to spend the spirit stones. He sighed. Jianghao understood the reason. When he used spirit stones to consume the divine soul of the Holy Master, it ran out too quickly. He was worried it wouldn't be enough. For the past few days, he had been waiting for Granny Kufa, but unfortunately, she had not arrived yet. He didn't know how long it would take. Fortunately, he could afford to wait. As for the situation in the sea-sky forest, there was no news yet. After a while, he went to Hong Yui's room. He wanted to go to the ancient city. Perhaps there would be some clues there. He didn't want to act recklessly. He wanted to wait for the outbreak in the sea-sky forest. In doing so, he could prepare beforehand. If the Astronomical Academy could prevent the appearance of corpses in the sea-sky forest, that would be great. Senior, do you want to go to the ancient city to look for clues? It was too far away, so he didn't dare go alone. Once beyond a certain distance, the influence of Hong Yuye on him would disappear. Strong cultivators and spies would be able to see through him. Did you find any clues? Hong Yuye asked. Yes, there are some leads, Jianghao reluctantly said. In reality, he hadn't started looking for the ancient pages yet. The main focus was the sea-sky forest. He only knew the rough location of the Jinxing Cliff. He needed to ask around. He had deliberately avoided asking because he didn't want to decide whether to go there yet. If he didn't know about it, there was no need to hurry. Hong Yuye chuckled. He got up and walked outside. Jianghao quickly followed. This time, it wouldn't take long to get there. They could reach it on the same day. However, as he followed Hong Yuye, he felt the surrounding objects receding in a way he couldn't understand. After a short while, they stood before a city. The words ancient city were written on it. People coming and going were mostly ordinary folks. "Excuse us, please make way," said a middle-aged man behind them. Jiang Hao looked back and saw a middle-aged man in his 40s pushing a cart. He quickly stepped aside. Fortunately, Hong Yue followed along, or else the man would have had to take a detour. The man appeared to be around 30, but he looked older than he was because of exhaustion. Upon closer inspection, Jiang Hao realized the man might be younger than him. This was the difference between ordinary people and cultivators. He made his way forward. He didn't deliberately avoid the crowd or use his power to clear a path. He just watched out for Hong Yue and tried his best to prevent anyone else from bumping into her. He didn't mind the crowd himself. She didn't care about other people. She just didn't want people getting in her way. There were quite a few people here, but he didn't care. Jiang Hao felt that even if he pretended to be one of them, he was still different from the people making a living here. They lived under the sky. They farmed and harvested their crops and worked from sunrise to sunset. This place was lively. As for himself, although he seemed better off than countless others, he didn't feel fulfilled. It felt like he would be struck down any moment. He was unsure where he would end up next. He felt like he was stuck in one place. He sighed and looked at the shops around the city. "Senior, are you hungry?" he asked. Hong Yue was surprised, but she nodded. She felt that he had changed in some way. Chapter 840. The chef of the noodle shop. There were many noodle shops on the street, and Jiang Hao felt it was worth a try. But which one to choose? He passed by the nearest one and found that it was doing exceptionally well. There was a queue to get a meal. Jiang Hao didn't prefer such a bustling place. It was noisy and could easily irritate Hong Yue. If he were alone, he wouldn't mind. If someone accidentally offended her, there would be a disaster. These people had faced enough hardships in their lives. There was no need to put them in danger. He continued walking forward and saw a roast chicken place, which was also crowded. As he walked on, many shops were full of people, with only a few tables available. However, as they progressed down the street, the number of people lessened. Jiang Hao walked all the way forward and didn't find a shop he liked until he saw a small noodle shop in the corner. It was small and fairly empty. No one cared about it. Even if people passed by, they wouldn't give it a second glance. It was not normal. When things deviated from the norm, something usual was definitely bound to happen. Just as Jiang Hao was about to leave, Hong Yue walked inside. He was surprised. "Senior, what's wrong?" Hong Yue turned to look at Jiang Hao. "This shop is just ordinary," Jiang Hao said. "You never know until you try," she said and walked inside. Jiang Hao sighed and could only follow her inside. He was even more certain that this shop was not ordinary. Hong Yue had gone in willingly. "When will your boss come out?" Baizhu looked at the waitress. "I don't know. The boss said she'll come out whenever she's not busy." She had a ponytail and stood politely on the side and waited for customers to come in. "Why is your boss so busy when there are so few customers here?" "Baizhu a QLCPD? I don't know. She says she's busy every day." Baizhu didn't know whether her luck was good or bad now. She was thinking about how to break her good luck. At that moment, footsteps approached, and two people entered, a man and a woman. The woman looked ordinary and was at the foundation establishment realm. Her steps were firm. Behind her was an ordinary man at the middle stage of the Golden Core realm. However, when the man saw her, he seemed surprised. "Does he recognize me?" Baizhu was also surprised. He composed himself and looked indifferent. She wondered if it had just been her imagination. "I don't know them, but maybe they know me," Baizhu thought. "Who could it be? There shouldn't be anyone in the West who recognizes me." She wanted to ask for the person's name. Xiao, he noticed the two people. They seemed strange. Are they like the seniors from before? She was on high alert. Baizhu, on the other hand, was quite calm. But she found it a bit difficult to maintain her composure because the waitress suddenly looked at the kitchen. Baizhu was puzzled. A woman dressed as a chef came out of the kitchen. She looked quite ordinary. "Boss," the waitress said. Baizhu was surprised. She stood up. The boss had suddenly appeared. Even more surprising was that the boss didn't even look in their direction. She walked straight to the two customers who had just sat down. "What would you like to eat?" she asked politely. Baizhu was shocked. Who are these people? Why did the boss personally come to welcome them? She didn't care before, but now it seemed like these two were extraordinary. She just didn't know why. Chow, he wasn't surprised. She realized that if someone had a lower cultivation realm, they were bound to be someone important. Jiang Hao was shocked. Why is Baizhu here? He then remembered what Senior Dan Yuan had said. He had mentioned a noodle shop to ask about her condition. It had been several months. She was bound to be here. He had only thought about it briefly. Who would have known they would meet here? Moreover, the chef seemed to be the boss here. Seeing Baizhu's reaction, Jiang Hao understood that it was strange for the chef to receive customers. Was it because of Hong Yuye? 2 bowls of beef noodles, Jiang Hao said. The chef nodded. May I ask what kind of beef you would prefer? We have regular beef, spirit beast mountain beef, and ancient azure sea beef. Regular is fine, Jiang Hao said. He felt that the owner of the shop was also a bit strange, so he didn't want to hold her here for long. He wanted to leave as soon as he finished eating. All right, please wait a while, said with a nod. The waitress poured tea for them while they waited. Baizhu also walked to them. Seniors, do you know the chef of this shop personally? Jiang Hao shook his head and remained silent. He didn't know what to say. It was better to keep quiet. Baizhu didn't dare to say much either. She could only return to her seat and wait quietly. This was the strangest thing that had happened here. She didn't know why this was happening. She turned to the waitress. The waitress looked at her and shook her head. After a short while, 2 bowls of beef noodles were served. Meat fillings filled the bowls more than the noodles. Baizhu felt that the chef was being too extravagant, but she didn't point it out. She wanted to see what the chef would say. Jiang Hao looked at the noodles in front of him and felt something strange. Beef noodles should be ordinary, but there was something about the aroma. He took a bite. It was the most delicious thing he had ever eaten. Hong Yuye only took a few bites and stopped eating. Is it not to your taste? The chef asked softly. She had been standing there the whole time. Hong Yuye didn't respond. She just turned and looked at the chef. Jiang Hao finished eating. How much should we pay for this? He wanted to pay and leave as soon as possible. Our shop has an interesting policy. Anyone who comes here for the first time gets their meal for free. You don't need to pay, but I would be grateful if you could mention your names, said the chef. Name? Jiang Hao said calmly. He didn't know the chef's intention. It was not a big deal to introduce oneself by name, but it was strange when someone asked for it outright. Hong Yuye remained calm. Jiang Hao looked at the chef. Can't I just choose to pay with spirit stones? He didn't want to use smiling Sansheng's name since Baizhu was here. He didn't want to use Gu Jin's either. He felt that this chef was not ordinary. The chef looked at Jiang Hao and said softly, Senior, since you've already returned, why hide? Jiang Hao was confused. What did that mean? Chapter 841. Am I Gu Jin? Jiang Hao was shocked at the chef's words. The way the chef spoke sounded as if she had known who he was for a long time. He hadn't used Gu Jin's name even once in the West. How could figure this out? I don't understand what you mean, Jiang Hao said. Regardless, he couldn't let her misunderstanding continue. Baizhu sat there quietly. Even an immortal ascension platform, Cultivator wasn't given this much respect. If it were Hong Yuye, it would make sense. But judging by the chef's words, she meant him. In her eyes, he was a senior. Senior, do you really not remember me? The chef asked. Jiang Hao shook his head. He didn't even know if the chef had the right person. Luing. Senior, do you really not remember me? The chef asked. Perhaps you've mistaken me for someone else, Jiang Hao said. Is that so? Luing seemed somewhat disappointed. After that, Luing said, there's been some chaos in the aura of the western region. I can't see much, but the sea-sky forest is out of control. Whether it stopped or not is meaningless, but I know the specific location. However, even now, I don't know what the source is. I always thought that this chaos would bring about your arrival. I now know that the western region will be fine. What did you see? Jiang Hao was quite surprised. He himself didn't know what the impact would be. Moreover, he had no intention of getting involved with the sea-sky forest. The difference in strength was too great. I haven't seen anything, Luing said. Then, why do you think my arrival will help the West? Jiang Hao asked. He felt that the chef was contradicting herself. What else would it be? Lu Ying said, "A person's name casts a shadow on the tree. Your name already represents everything. Countless years ago, you alone suppressed the West. You held up a piece of sky that belonged to you. Even the Clear Sky School and the Mountain Sea Sword sect have to bow to you. Isn't that enough reassurance?" Jiang Hao was shocked. When did he become so powerful? He felt that the chef had definitely mistaken him for someone else. But he was curious just who she thought he was. Then, who am I? Ruling all things to their end, forcing them and their leaders into the sea of nothingness. You heavily injured the fallen immortal clan and sent them into hiding. You even subdued the corpse clan and prevented them from manipulating others. You are the great senior of the Astronomical Academy. You're the towering existence of the West and the most powerful under the heavens. Your name is Gu Jin, Lu Ying said seriously. Jiang Hao was stunned. Baizhu was horrified. Gu Jin, was this really because of the ancient and modern book in her hands? She felt like the book had made it happen. She had read the book. It described things that the chef had said in exact detail. She lowered her head and ate her noodles. Her luck seemed to have worsened. Unfortunately, she had met the main character of that book. From the chef's reaction, she understood that she was nothing but ordinary when compared to these two people. The West was really frightening. This place wasn't meant for normal people. In the South, she hadn't faced something like this. It was much safer in the South. Jiang Hao was also surprised. He hadn't told anyone his name was Gu Jin, so Hao had recognized him. The only possibility was the name imprinted on the palm of his hand. Could this name be sensed by others? Could it have such an impact on the West? Gu Jin was truly extraordinary. It was no wonder he had ventured to the birthplace of the heavenly fate misfortune pearl. He was still alive. "Why do you think I am Gu Jin?" Jiang Hao asked calmly. The chef was so firm in her words that denying it was pointless. "Because only you can bring such a huge change in the aura in the West," the chef said seriously. Jiang Hao lowered his head. He suddenly remembered the words on the last page of the ancient and modern book. "When we meet again, I am myself and not myself at the same time." The book was still with Baizhu. If he took it back, wouldn't people from the academy question it? Wouldn't they think he was actually Gu Jin? Jiang Hao was unsure. "How much for the noodles?" Jiang Hao didn't say much else and intended to settle the bill. The chef didn't insist and asked for 10 spirit stones. Jiang Hao paid and got up to leave. "Senior," said the chef as she stopped him from leaving, "perhaps your situation is not ideal right now, and you want to avoid all this. But the aura of the West is like a vortex, and you have a significant impact on it. The matter of the sea-sky forest is also similar. If you intend to deal with it, the two sides are destined to meet. Please be very careful." Jiang Hao nodded. He then turned and walked away with Hong Yuya. After the two left, the chef returned to her previous indifferent self. When Baizhu looked at her, she saw a quiet, unmoved woman. "Senior, what's going on?" Baizhu asked. "You are also in the vortex of the West," Lu Ying said. "Why?" Baizhu found it hard to believe. "I'm just an ordinary young woman. You carry the ancient and modern book with you. Although the book is not the main cause, it has a connection with whatever you are going through." Lu Ying looked at Baizhu. "Did you see something strange lately?" The chef sat down and waited for Baizhu to answer. "Something strange?" Baizhu thought for a moment and shook her head. "I haven't seen anything. I've been cautious even in the South. I avoided danger as much as possible. The most dangerous thing was probably getting close to the heavenly fate misfortune pearl. And I don't think I've offended anyone. Surely you have seen something. Some existence is secretly watching you, but doesn't want you to die." So, when it sensed that you reached the West and sensed that you had the ancient and modern book, it made a wrong judgment. It believes you can withstand an unparalleled aura. That's why your state has become abnormal. Whatever you do, you'll have to return. All blessings bestowed come with a price, Lu Ying said patiently. "Senior, how can I break free from this aura? And why am I involved? Is it just because of a book?" Baizhu furrowed her brows. "What was I supposed to see? It's probably because of the person behind you. He may also have a place in the West. That's why you were involved unknowingly, Luing said. So, he gave me this aura like a gift? Clearly, he's the one who made me like this. Baiju looked distressed. Is this how the powerful individuals harass the weak? Baiju could find no rhyme or reason for this. There's been a lot going on in the West recently, and you might not be without hope. Moreover, with the arrival of Senior Gujin, your chances of survival are high. As for breaking free from the aura, it's probably impossible unless you can convince the person behind you. But it seems you don't even know who that person is, Luing said. You're tuning into the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.